We are live. It is Tuesday, August 11th. We've had a variety of things happen over the past 3 hours since I've been gone. We also have a ton of earnings in the semiconductor space to get into. We'll do a little preview of all three of them, but the three main ones on deck, let me know in the chat which one of these people own. I think SMCI and CoreWeave are the biggest ones out of the ones that we have today. Lumentum, I think, is there, and we'll talk about that in the photonic space, but SMCI knows that's been a legacy hold for a lot of people, and CoreWeave is one of the biggest Neos clouds with Nebius that retail does hold. But those are the three earnings we have after the bell, and I think we're going to be looking, or at least the market's going to be looking, for a variety of different things that those three companies need to say to get the market, or to get those stocks to be reflecting any of the value that they had in July when, all three of them were trading at all-time highs. And obviously since then you had liquidation event, which has basically chopped all of them in half, some of them by 30%. So I think the market's going to be really interested today to make sure that the actual numbers that we're getting for those three companies continue to say that the optics, compute, and at least in SMCI's case, server rack thesis is intact, that they're profitable, or at least they have a path to profitability, and that the street can understand how to value those names. And so those are going to be really important earnings we have after the bell. I am not going to be streaming the call. Tanner, Steve, Neil, Jose, all those guys are live, and they will be listening to the call itself. But because you guys love Technical Tuesday, we'll be doing TT right after we get through all the earnings. Put the poll right there in the chat, which one outperforms, and that'll probably happen at around 4:30. The Mag 7 have had a very weird day. We got a bunch of different headlines to look at, but Amazon down about 1.2%. I still don't know why Google's down. Google announced today they're down about 4%. They came out and said that they have 1 billion monthly active users now on Gemini. It was 950 million in July. It's almost like they came out with some news to kind of change some of the sentiment around everything that happened with the leadership changes last week, but the market is not really reflecting that. I don't know the exact headline for why this stock has taken a 4% hit, but 4% on Google is not a small amount. Obviously, that $500 billion investment that NVIDIA made, stock was kind of liking it early in the morning, but now it's not 217 right here, down from 222. And so I think the market is still really trying to figure out if that 500 billion is meaningfully going to be allocated, and what companies are ultimately going to get the allocation of what's going on. So we got a lot to get into, lots of different stocks, a bunch of different headlines, and then we'll get into TT. First of all, Zeta. It is really nice sometimes to just see a thesis play out. And this thing basically was stuck under 20 for 7 months. And it's not just Zeta, it's the entire software complex that is starting to really get a nice re-rating right here. Adobe is actually down on the day. ServiceNow was pushing 130. That one's basically going flat. But some of your smaller cap names like a Figma, which was at 16, now it's at 25, still down about 2% of the day. Good earnings are getting rewarded. And a company like Zeta, under $10 billion market cap, it was under $4 billion at one point earlier this year. It's starting to get rewarded. 28.77. I think 30 is obviously not that far away. If we close above 28.50, that's something the street wants to see. And so it's very nice to see at least some of that momentum coming in. Epsilera, for those that are in Epsilera, absolutely incredible day, up another 4%. It's down from $10, but still 4% day after a 40% day. Just starting to see that momentum get rewarded. Rocket Lab has had a very interesting day. Rocket Lab was stuck between 77.50 and 78.50 for the longest hour. I know that because I was trading this damn thing. And then it just decides to rocket after, of course, someone sold it to $80. So it's down from 81.40, but $80.55. That's up 0.5% on the day. It's been like kind of mirroring SpaceX, but SpaceX has been very weird all day. It's down 5%. At one point, it was only down 2%, then kind of just had a flush out. Rocket Lab starting to go kind of in the opposite direction, but at $80 level at least being a bit better. And earnings, it was down 7% yesterday. So the fact that it's actually holding on to some momentum here is really good. ASTS as well, up 3% after their earnings call, which was bullish, even if the numbers were not as bullish. Ondas 963, that's up 3.4%, having a good day as well with some of the other drone names. CoreWeave, again, that stock relatively flat. This earnings will be very important to see what's going to happen to the neoclouds and where the market is going to try to take a variety of these other semiconductor names. The memory names have been flat as well today. Micron is up a little bit right there, but it was red for the majority of the day. SanDisk as well was at 1250, now at 1277. So you're not seeing massive momentum on those names, but they're also not tanking, right? They're not like the bottom's not falling out on those names. So I think once again, they're consolidating. And given those are the best performing stocks in the S&P 500 this year, it's not that crazy to see them consolidate. A couple of updates, then we'll do a little bit of an earnings preview for the three companies that we have after the bell. One of OpenAI's executives, Brad Lightcap, is leaving. This comes after OpenAI bought $7 billion of their own employee stock yesterday. So you got some executives that are leaving, and you have some employees that are cashing out their stock. We talked about Gemini. 1 billion monthly active users officially has been achieved. Uber sold their entire Serve robotics stake. That just came out. We're getting a lot of 13Fs from these companies now. And so Uber ended up selling most of their stake. And then oil, part of the reason it's been up today is because although we got some good news yesterday around the potential of a deal, oil up about 2% right here, almost at 84, which is not really nice to see. You're starting to get some concerns. Bloomberg said that optimism about a near-term Strait of Hormuz reopening is fading after Iranian state media basically has said the United States must compensate us for all of the damages they have done, which led Trump to say yesterday that we want Iran to compensate us for all the damages that they have done. And we're back to a stalemate. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's changing anytime soon. That's probably also put some pressure on the high beta stocks. But in and of itself, hopefully, we get oil to come down and the market can keep moving forward from there. All right, so the companies that we have today that are going to be reporting, let's talk a little bit about them. First of all, Lumentum. For those that don't know about Lumentum, Coherent, both in the S&P 500, both got $2 billion from Jensen. AI optics. The market wants to make sure that AI optics demand, given the amount of investment that's been putting into it, the sort of sell-side reports that have been coming out around what it's going to take to increase the performance of these GPUs and how copper and optics are going to be incredibly important for that. I think the market's going to want to see that demand continue to increase. More importantly than the market wanting to see co-packaged optics demand increasing, CPO, they also want to see margin expansion. Revenue was up 2x last quarter. So like the revenue growth of Coherent, Lumentum, AAOI, that's not something to question. The broader argument is, are 35% operating margins sustainable? And if this company can get anywhere near 40 to 45% operating margins as they begin to scale, I think the market's going to be happy. Granted, this stock is up a lot year to date. It is up 111%. Market cap is not a small cap, 63 billion. So you do have a lot of money in these companies, a lot of people that have taken bets on these companies. These companies are already into the indices, so they've got to put up some big boy numbers. And last time, I think this thing tanked 10% on earnings. It recovered the next day, so it's obviously very volatile. I think the implied volatility right here is 12%. But that's something that we're going to look at. And then Coherent, AAOI, Airtest Systems. The fact that Airtest Systems is up today gives me a good feeling about Lumentum. Lumentum was also $1,100 at the top in July, so it has taken a significant fall. Basically $1,100, $1,085. And so any good news maybe gives it some love. CoreWeave. So revenue, Street wants to get $2 billion, up 112% year over year. Street wants to see the backlog increase from $99 billion, which I think will increase. CapEx, there is a high range for it, but roughly is going to be around $30 to $35 billion. And I think the bigger question here is like, look, they're spending $30 billion of CapEx to generate 12 to 13 billion of current year revenue. So obviously the amount of CapEx they're spending to get on revenue kind of looks stupid when you look at it in and of itself, and then you add in the debt that they have. Rocket Lab losing 80 right at the bell. This thing has been very volatile today, but the future trajectory of growth, given that backlog, is what gets people to be excited, because those CapEx investments theoretically should lead to significantly more revenue going into 2027 and beyond. And obviously, if Jensen's talking about 500 billion of money coming into the system, 80 to 100 billion dollars per gigawatt of compute, the more and more that CoreWeave can make the argument to the street that we are the neocloud that will be serving that compute to a world that is fundamentally compute constrained, structurally compute constrained. That's going to be the narrative they have to go with. But also, they're going to need some numbers that get people excited, because the compute constrained narrative is like everyone knows about it, right? Same thing with what's happening with optics. We are optics constrained, we are memory constrained, we are copper constrained, we are compute constrained. So I think there has to be something a bit bigger to get the street to be excited, and that's what we're going to have to see from these numbers. Then we have SMCI. Look, they already increased their margins from 8% to 17%. So roughly doubled their gross margins, which was really impressive. That's what the stock took off 20% a couple of weeks ago. But I think the bigger question here is, are those margins once again sustainable? Are there different regulatory concerns with what's happening with the China issue? Can the fiscal year 2027 guidance be more important than Q4, given they've been a little bit shaky on guiding in a meaningful way, particularly because of their backlog in orders? Now, they also said they have the highest amount of orders that they've ever had in 5 years, which is $60 billion. Could that become like $65 billion today? Could they increase some of those estimates? Because if they do, Dell, HP, all those will be benefits as well. All of that is going to be intertwined in a pretty meaningful way. So CoreWeave will affect IREN. It will affect Nebius. It will affect Cypher. It will affect Wolf. Nebius will be reporting tomorrow. Nebius right there, up about 4%. Lumentum will affect Coherent, AEHR, AXTI, AAOI, all of those names. And then SMCI will affect Dell and HP. So you've got a lot of names that'll probably be moving after hours based on the year's earnings. And, last week was kind of a crappy week for earnings. You didn't have that many amazing reactions. Definitely in the semi space, the software names did very well. Zeta's trying to go for 29 right there. Actually, we touched it. Touched 29, 28.93. A close above 29 would be incredible in the next 3 minutes. Let's see if it can do it. But the semi names just need, a bit more excitement, I think, to get the street to be pretty happy. So this is going to be a big one. We are going to have to see what ends up happening today after the bell. And then we'll get into TT. Poet has earnings today, do they? That's also in the photonic space. Okay, let's pull it up. Poet as well. Poet 863. This hit a high of 25 at one point. So we'll be taking a look. Oh, and Kava has earnings. I still have not 8 at this place, but Kava as well. We'll take a look for that going into the end of the day. Wow, 29. It's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. The cool thing about this one is this one spent a lot of time, a good year below 20. So, I think people have really sized up decent positions on it, and it's one of the best performing software names of the year. So a lot of these names are just giving you a bit more of a reward. Reddit from 135 to 156, that's down about 1.6. But AppLovin is interesting, dude. This thing has been demolished. I think this warrants a little bit of research over the weekend. Their growth is hard to deny. Something about it is what the street hates. And I don't know, it kind of reminds me of other growth stocks that had amazing growth, but some narrative messed it up and it ended up being a great buying opportunity. So I don't know. That's what I'm going to be looking at over the weekend, see what ends up happening. And hopefully we get some momentum. Robinhood has also been kind of a tricky one all day, been stuck pretty much below 94, really in the past 30 minutes as it broke out above the 94 level. Did get to 95 at one point for a little bit, then got faded. 94.44 looks like we'll be able to close above that 94 level. Shout out to Mr. Davis in the chat. Davis, I think you guys know the story, but Davis is the person who actually introduced me to Zeta. And this was around November of last year, and it piqued my interest. That's when I wrote the first Substack article about it at 18. Bought my first shares at 18. So shout out to our boy Davis. He's been doing a lot of DD on this name, and it has paid off. Nebius getting a little bit of a pump into the close. We got 30 seconds. Let's see. CoreWeave, do not let us down. Do not. Look, if the market tanks it for whatever reason, that's fine. We just need these companies to not mess up earnings. 53% of you said CoreWeave outperforms, 28% say SMCI, 20% say Lumentum. Especially going into Nebius tomorrow, it would be really nice for CoreWeave to execute. If the market tanks it, the market tanks it, but you just can't have the market blaming the company for their lack of execution, which has happened to CoreWeave in the past. And so as long as they execute, the stock price will be the stock price, but hopefully we can get some momentum. All right, here we go. Tuesday, August 11th. Thank everybody for being here. The stock market is now closed. All right, here we go. Let's see how the market chooses to interpret these earnings. I think CoreWeave should be pretty quick. It might happen at 4:05, but I'm pretty sure it happens right at the bell. I would imagine SMCI is very quick as well. And then Lumentum, I think, might take a couple minutes. But we also have Kava, we have Poet, SMCI, CoreWeave, and then we'll keep an eye on all these other stocks and see how they react as well. Zeta, we got to close above 29. Wow. 29.17, up 6% on the day. Massive, massive close for Zeta. Palantir, 174.94, still holding the 170s, which is very nice. SanDisk, 1271. Micron, 867. Ondas, 974. That was up 4% on the day. NVIDIA basically was flat, literally moved 5 cents from the market open to now. It's 217.50. That was flat on the day. Google, I still don't get why the street was that upset at this to take it down 4%, but that one fell. S&P also basically flat. Volume was 40% lower than expected or than usual. Amazon was down about 2%. All the Mag 7 kind of had a relatively stagnant day. Meta as well got all the way up to 612, came right back down to 599, closed under 600. CoreWeave up a little bit after hours, 0.5%. Do not have the numbers yet. So we have CoreWeave, Kava, Lumentum, Poet, SMCI. I think those are the main ones. We have some other companies, but those are the main ones that we'll be looking at. Amcor is selling their China business for $1.5 billion. That's why that stock was up 2.75%. Maybe Google used their ATM. Maybe. I mean, that's a pretty simple explanation for why it could have been down today, but I didn't really see a headline. Tesla right there at 332. Also Fly. Yeah, you're right. Firefly. We do have this one. This is another space name. Okay, so we'll keep that on the list. This thing got to like $50 at one point, right? This February, it got to, yeah, 50. No, May. Yeah, May it was $50. Okay, so this thing's been chopped in half as well, like a lot of the space names. So this one, we'll keep an eye on it as well and see what happens. Okay, I don't have any of these numbers yet. I'm still waiting. We will have Technical Tuesday today, so we will not be listening to the call. Tanner and Steve and Jose and Neil are streaming the call. So for those that want to listen to the call an hour, you can go to their channel. But we are going to see these results. The DGen in me wants to buy 2x leverage CoreWeave right now. There's a 2x leverage core. I've never seen that. What's the ticker on 2x leverage CoreWeave? Oh man, I think CoreWeave will do well. I don't know. But I think they probably do well. We just got to see if the numbers are good enough, and if they are, then maybe we get some love. CoreWeave up 0.5%. Still don't have the numbers. SMCI up 1. Still don't have them. Lumentum's up 1. CVWX. That's crazy, dude. That as well. There are plenty of leverage ETFs out there to get exposure. Really, those leverage ETFs are meant to trade on events like this. But obviously, it's a gamble because sometimes you just don't freaking know how the market's going to react to these earnings. And obviously, if CoreWeave's down 5%, you're down 10% on the ETF. If it's up 5%, you're up 10%. So it's just a question of seeing what the results look like. Lumentum down 3. Okay, Lumentum earnings. It's a double beat. EPS, they beat by 9%, 323 versus 297. Revenue, they did $1 billion in revenue for the first time ever versus 987 million. EPS is up 267% year over year. Revenue is up 109% year over year. Market doesn't care. Initial reaction, market doesn't care. Now, again, the stock is up more than 100% year to date. I know it's down 30% from the top as well, but it trades at 170 times earnings. I don't know that deep about the financials of this company, but if the market is upset about anything, if it has an expensive enough multiple to take it down, then the street might not be happy about that. Adjusted operating margins are 36.6. That is better than expected, but not by a lot. That thing needed to get closer to like 38, 39, to be honest. Gross margins are 50%. The adjusted guide for the next quarter is 435 of EPS. Q1 revenue, 1.28 billion. The guide looks fine. The margin is a beat, but it's not that big of a beat. Coherent, are you down after hours? Coherent goes down 2%. AAOI goes down 1%. AXTI goes down 0.5%. AEHR goes down 0.15. So Lumentum is the main one that's getting hit right here. Now 3%, that's not really a dump. It fell 5%, but that's the kind of average volatility for the same. So let's see if this thing reverses or if the market has any different perspectives on this. SMCI, do we have it? She's up. She is up. Okay. Whoa. I think SMCI crushed it. Oh my. SMCI, I think they crushed it. The fiscal year guide for sales. Wow. Oh, Dell and HP are going to love this. The street thought they would do 52 billion. They are guiding up to 72 billion. That's a 20 billion increase on the guide. EPS 170 versus 159 for the fiscal year guide. That's a beat. Gross margin at 17.6% for the year. That's a beat. And then EPS, the street wanted 96 cents. They came in at $1.70, which is a 77% beat. EPS up 300% year over year. Revenues up 93% year over year. SMCI is now, it was at 54 in June. It got up to basically this range on July 24th when they announced the preliminary guidance for doubling their margins. So it's basically where it was on the initial pump on July 24th, and then it ended up falling to 25 after all the semis bottomed. And now you're basically right back. If this actually breaks above 35.50, then you're making a new monthly high, which obviously would be pretty bullish right there. 8% after hours. It looks like that's a massive, massive print. For the next quarter, the street thought they would do 12 billion of revenue. They said we're going to do 15.5 billion. For the next quarter, the street thought they would do 74 cents of EPS. The SMCI said we're going to do $1.10. And they actually have good margins now. I mean, 17% is not amazing, but it's up 100% from the 8.6% margins they had last year. I think SMCI so far has had the best quarter. I mean, those are just massive. Dude, a 20 billion raise on the guide. And by the way, I think that's kind of bullish for NVIDIA. Like, SMCI, if they're buying all these server racks, it's to serve the GPUs that NVIDIA is selling. So I would imagine that is helping them out. CoreWeave, we don't have yet. But SMCI, wow. I'm surprised it's not up more. And it might not be up more because the market is feeling really iffy about the semis right now. But that's a pretty incredible print. That's an incredible print. Is Dell up after hours? Dell is up 1.4. HPE is up 2. What if the earnings are fake? Look, if the earnings are fake, all bets are off the table. But I would hope these earnings are real. And if they are, these are decent numbers. Oracle, layoffs. Oh, boy. The stock might actually like that after hours. Oracle has drawn up plans for a new round of layoffs that would take place this month. Well, stock's down 50%. Data center narrative's not helping out the street. They might end up laying off people to try to change some of the narrative and save on some of the costs. CoreWeave, we still don't have the numbers yet. SMCI up a full 10. Yeah, SMCI deserves it. I mean, if these numbers are legit, SMCI absolutely. I mean, these are massive. This is what you want out of a growth stock. You want them to blow expectations out of the water. And I think they did that. SMCI right there up about 9.5%. Lumentum is basically flat. Nothing crazy on Lumentum. CoreWeave is the one we are waiting for. If we get it at 410, we should be getting it in a minute. Let's see. If we don't see any stock price reaction, then it's probably 415. But the market seems to like it. If we don't get it in the next minute, then we will. Oh, actually, we're getting a move. 2%, 2.3, 92. I don't have numbers, but street's reacting to something. I don't have numbers. I need the numbers. Do not have it yet. Should be getting it pretty soon. Lumentum still flat. SMCI up 8. I still don't have it. I don't know what the street's reacting to. I don't have it. Where do you find earnings info? CactusJack.com. It is a terminal that is open source for everybody. Everybody can join it. Can someone put the link in there in the chat? Can one of the mods put the link? CactusJack.com. That's where you get all the information. All right, I got it. CoreWeave. The street wanted them to lose $1.47. They lost $1.14. That's a beat by 22%. That's an EPS beat. Revenue, the street wanted 2.56. They came in at 2.57. That's a beat by 1%. Stock's down 5 on a double beat. EPS is down 90% year over year. EPS wasn't expected to be up that much though, but you know, compared to the expectation, it is a beat. And then revenue's up 112%. Let's see if this reverses. Backlog is 104 billion. So we just changed to 104 billion from 99. That is an increase. It's not a massive increase though. By the way, I just pinned the terminal. Thank you, Cactus, for that. So if anyone wants to check it out, it's just pinned right now. I thought it would be like 115 billion. That's like 6 billion more than what they had last quarter. That's not that big. CoreWeave down 3. Where's Nebius? Nebius is down half. Interesting. These are not the craziest numbers. EBITDA margins, well, this is actually good. 59% versus 55.4. That's a 4% beat. Adjusted operating income, 128 versus 65. That's a pretty big beat. And that's also because their EPS beat by about 30 cents, even though they're still losing money. And then second quarter revenue, again, 2.58. It's a very small beat on revenue. EPS is where the bigger story is, but dude, why is that backlog only up $5 billion? That should be up way more. I think my gut reaction is if that backlog was like 120 billion, up from 99, the street would be a bit more excited. I feel like I'm nitpicking, though. I don't know if that can be the only reason. CoreWeave down 3, SMCI up 7, Lumentum just flipped green. Lumentum's up 2, CoreWeave down 3. CoreWeave, our backlog doesn't include over 25 billion in third quarter commitments. Okay, hold on. That makes a lot of sense. If you add that 25 billion in 3Q, you get 130 billion in backlog. Why would they not include that in the backlog, though? Why would they say our backlog doesn't include 25 billion? I guess that's not official contracted revenue that they can depend on. Or, yeah, that's a good point. They don't have the actual supply for that demand, which means they have those commitments, but they don't have the supply to be able to get those commitments online, which means they technically can't call it backlog. Although, that's kind of where NVIDIA comes in. That's the whole point of NVIDIA's 500 billion, to make sure that CoreWeave can finance all this stuff and supply that demand. I mean, hold on. If they're not including 25 billion of backlog, that's 130 billion up from 99. That is a massive increase Q over Q. CoreWeave will provide forward-looking guidance in connection with the quarterly earnings announcement on the earnings call. Okay, so on the call, we'll probably get some more updates on it. Stocks flipping right here. Outside of the very slight revenue beat, I mean, the actual quarter itself seems pretty fine. And the numbers don't seem bad. The only thing was the backlog issue, but if that's not something that is as relevant given the ability to increase it in Q3, then Q3 is just going to have a massive increase in the RPO that the street cares about. Adjusted EBITDA margin 59. That was way better than 54. Expected operating income negative 49 versus 90. They missed on that, but their EPS overall is a lot better. They lost $600 million. I mean, they're $600 million away from becoming profitable. I would imagine by 2027, they're going to get to that GAAP net income, and then operating income was positive 128 million. Yeah, this wasn't a bad quarter at all. This was not a bad. The only thing that was a little weird was that RPO number, because I had expected it to be closer to 120. It basically is if you include the numbers. They just technically can't include that in 3Q. Corey, they're now up 3%. Let's see if that flips. All the neoclouds. Nebius following it as well. There she goes. Nebius now up 1. Lumentum again. That stock also flipping green. Let's get some more coverage on CoreWeave, but the headline results not necessarily concerning here for the entire neocloud space. Revenue up 112% year over year for CoreWeave.
Yes, so we won't compare for EPS, earnings per share. We're just going to tell you the GAAP loss was $1.14. The revenue was slightly above at $2.58 billion. They're going to provide the guide on the call. Initially, shares dropped. Could be because of the revenue backlog. So they said the revenue backlog was $104 billion. I had seen some sell-side research that said anywhere like around closer to 107, 110. The company did have a small asterisk saying that it does not include $25 billion of net new customers added already early in this quarter. So could be a bullish sign. For the non-GAAP operating margin, it did.
Guys, I really think that's it. I think that initial 5% drop was them not including those 25 billion of commitments. Now that they said we can't include it, but technically it's there, the stock's up 5%. Like, I really think it was that much of a knee-jerk reaction to that backlog number.
Climb and was higher than what the street anticipated at 5%, so more almost double what the street wanted. So that is a sign of strength. And there's even a quote that speaks to that. CoreWeave reached an important inflection point this quarter as our scale began to translate into expanding operating leverage. Just last quarter, they said it was a trough, and now they're starting to see an uptick because they had to spend so much money upfront to build, and now you get to see and reap the benefits of said build out. And so you can see people digesting this report, and now shares are moving higher.
All right. Yep.
Now she's up 7%. There you go. I mean, now she's up 9. Nebius up 3. Oh man, if CoreWeave can hold on to this and the call goes decent, I think Nebius tomorrow. I think Nebius tomorrow will be pretty decent as well. Wow, Nebius going for 200 after hours. CoreWeave, give us the 10% move. 9.3. SMCI up 7. Dell up 1. HP up 1. AAOI up. That was red. Coherence up. Lumentum is flat, but the other photonics names are not down as much. Nebius up a full 4. There she is, 200. $11 more, and Burry is underwater on his shorts, which could happen pretty quickly if we get some good results tomorrow. And then CoreWeave up 9%. Iren should be up as well, right? Iren, yep, that's up 2%. Yeah, this is a good quarter, folks. This was a good quarter. Like, the only issue was that backlog thing, which takes probably a couple minutes, or took probably a couple minutes for the street to just look at. And once you see that number, that's the type of growth that CoreWeave has been promising, that the neoclouds have been promising. This, multi tens of billions Q over Q level of demand that they're seeing. I mean, it's there. And as a result of that, the growth rates are, at least to an extent, hard to deny. Kava's earnings, they beat by 6%, 19 cents versus 18 cents expected. 2% on revenue, 368 versus 360. EPS up 19% year over year. Revenues up 31% year over year. Kava is up 3% after hours. You also had Firefly. Street1 in negative 53. They came in at negative 42 EPS. That's a beat by 20%. Firefly is flat after hours. Revenue was also a beat. Street wanted 88. They came in at 117 million. That's a 32% beat, up 659% year over year. So you have a double beat with a fiscal year guide of 450 million for Firefly. That stock flat after hours. CoreWeave up 8%. I mean, that is not necessarily an earnings that would make you think there's a red flag in the overall NeoCloud business. These are the types of growth rates you want to see. Obviously, they're not profitable, but they're not that far away from profitability. Backlogs up. This adjusted EBITDA margin is also really nice. Street thought it would be 55. They're almost at 60%. I mean, what happens when they get to 70%, which I would imagine in a year they have the trajectory to get to. And then revenue was a small beat, but like revenue's up 112% year over year. You can't be too mad that that's only beating by 1% as that continues to grow. Here is what the CEO said. CoreWeave reached an important inflection point this quarter as our scale began to translate into expanding operating leverage. Customer demand is accelerating as enterprise adoption broadens and we continue to deepen our technology platform. CoreWeave is built on the conviction that AI is foundational to every industry, and realizing its full potential requires a purpose-built platform. This quarter reinforced that conviction. Revenue backlog was 104 billion. It does not include more than 25 billion of net new customer commitments added in early Q3. I wonder if those are hyperscalers or if it's a bit more dispersed. Revenue backlog includes remaining performance obligations plus other amounts we estimate will be recognized in future periods. They obviously landed a bunch of deals. Meta was, I think, one of their biggest deals in Q2 as well. And you've got revenue growth of 112%. Okay, I mean, they did what they needed to do, and you're seeing it. CoreWeave up 6. Now, this stock is known to get hit on earnings, on the earnings call, because sometimes management says something like that's what happened last quarter that isn't the best. If the call just goes well, I mean, that 6% I think is sustainable, and that would obviously help Nebius and Iren after hours. They're all moving in a bucket. Velo, these guys had earnings. They are up 10%. Do I have their numbers? Yes. Revenue, 20 million, up 52% year over year. Gross margins, 21% versus 11% expected. Net loss, 11 million versus 13 million. EPS, 39 cents negative versus 94 cents. So they beat on the guide, the adjusted EBITDA margin, revenue, and EPS. That's why that stock up 11%. After hours, that goes green. CoreWeave, up 5. SMCI as well. Again, I still think they have the best quarter. I mean, dude, they increased the revenue guide by 20 billion. Dell did the same thing, by the way. Dell increased it by 18 billion. back in May. So, I mean, it makes sense for SMCI to have that type of demand if Dell is seeing that type of demand. And now that their margins are somewhat competitive with Dell's, yeah, the stock probably should get a boost. Right, they're up 9.3% as that continues to go green. Okay, I mean, this is what I think as a NeoCloud investor you wanted to see, and we're seeing it. Let's get some analysis here by Brent Thill at Jefferies and see if the sell side has any initial reaction that's positive to these earnings.
NVIDIA and CoreWeave are great partners. They're obviously NVIDIA is partnering with anyone that's building critical infrastructure. And I think we've said among the hyperscalers, you've got the big three, and then you've got the outsiders, which are Oracle, CoreWeave, and a few others. And there's only going to be 5 that build really, we think, the foundational technologies. CoreWeave is building that for Meta. They're building it for Microsoft. They're building it for the who's who of AI. So remember, CoreWeave is the primary contractor. If Microsoft or Meta can't do it on their own, they go to CoreWeave, and that tells you how good they are at what they do. And so we continue to believe that we're in a constrained environment. We don't have a lot of supply. The demand, customers are screaming for more demand. And so all indications are things remain good. It's just the question, can CoreWeave be profitable? And secondarily, can CoreWeave in the next 3 years transition to a software-enabled platform rather than we're just assembling other people's products? And I think that is kind of key. I don't think we're going to hear too much about that in the near term in terms of their software business, but that is kind of critical to us for the longevity of the story. So the short term looks good. We'll get more details on the call, but overall, I'd say, you know, some of the metrics that we're seeing so far look pretty good and a little bit above consensus. It wasn't a blowout. It was stable, steady.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess ultimately the debate's going to come down to, as you suggest, you know, where the economics are going to settle out for that layer of provider, and then, you know, after financing costs, if they can make a proper return.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, again, the big question on the margin side, and that's, you know, they keep pushing out the expenses, and it's, as we know, it's becoming more expensive to build, and no one baked this in a year ago, the magnitude of the cost creep. So this is going to be critical. And again, we have to hear more about these insider sales. They've sold $3 billion on the inside. It's got to stop. This is craziness, in my opinion.
Excellent. Well, it's a key thing to.
The insiders have definitely sold a decent chunk of stock. I mean, look, they're going to sell. They've been there for a decade. Like, they're going to take profits. I don't know if that's necessarily a bear case, but in terms of the execution, you're definitely seeing the numbers that you want to see. They have 1.5 gigawatts of active power, 3.7 gigawatts of contracted power, 8 data centers that they added in 2026, 51 active data centers. Since Q1, they've added 500 megawatts. And they contracted their power to 4.2 gigawatts of energy as of August 11th. Obviously, they've had a decent chunk of milestones. Then there's your numbers: 10 billion in capex in Q2, revenue of 2.6 billion, adjusted EBITDA of 1.5. They are still not making money on a GAAP basis, but you would imagine that changes next year. And then revenue of 104 billion in their backlog. It should be 130 billion based on the commitments in Q3. This was also the update on SMCI.
Higher has to do specifically with the guidance. So they posted Q4 EPS of $1.70. That was a beat on revenues of 11.12 billion. That was a slight miss. What really matters to investors right now is the Q1 EPS guide coming in at a range between $1.01 to 1.10 on revenues of 14.5 to 15.5 billion. So a midpoint of 15 billion bucks. The street was anticipating less than 12 billion. Also, they provided their full year revenue forecast too, and they're pitching anywhere between 65 to 72 billion dollars, much higher than the street wanted at 52. So again, guide coming in stronger. They talked about total new orders at 60 billion, but we already got that in the pre-announcement very recently. Margins too for the quarter came in at 17.6%, but really the guide is driving this name higher.
Yeah, that jump above 34.
For those that are asking about Lumentum, it was a good print. Stock's not really reacting that much. It's basically flat. SMCI getting a lot of the love right here. CoreWeave still holding on to 9%. I mean, last 2 quarters, CoreWeave dumped on the print. So this is actually a reversal, and hopefully the call goes well and they can hold on to that momentum. Nebius right there up 5% as that continues to go green. Kava, we looked at their numbers. That one's basically flat. I don't have Poet numbers if those are out. I don't see those. Kava right there, up about 2% after hours. What do people think? Are we happy with CoreWeave? Not happy? Do we think they're not executing enough? Bullish, bearish for Nebius? I think stock's up 9%. Can't be that upset, right? And 130 billion in backlog seems bullish. I think they did what they had to do. I think they did what they have to do. The only way this reverses, I mean, it's $1 away from 100, is on the call if they say something that's not what the street wants. Wow, Nebius 202 after hours. Dude, these things trade in such lockstep with each other. Nebius 202.50. If Nebius can really execute tomorrow morning and you get the shorts potentially that have to cover, this thing is 30% short on Nebius. Let me check CoreWeave short float. I mean, it could actually create for some really exciting short-term price action. CoreWeave is 20% short, 19% to be exact. So basically 20% short. Nebius at 30%. Okay, so that is what we've got for earnings. CoreWeave up 9, Kava up 2, Lumentum basically flat, but still crushed all their numbers. Nebius up 5 because of CoreWeave. SMCI, massive increase on the guide. That stock is up 8%. Those are most of the earnings that we've had after hours. The call will be happening at 5. I am linking Tanner's stream, and people can go watch his stream. He's live with a bunch of other people, Tanner, Steve, Jose, and Roy. So we will not be listening to the call here. We are going to get into some technicals since today is Tuesday. But for those that want the call or just want some more coverage on CoreWeave, I'm sure they're talking about it on the stream right now. And you can go there. Yes, CPI is tomorrow. Look, the projections I looked at this morning is CPI is going to be good. If CPI is actually worse than the lowered projections from this morning, which I don't know how they would be, I guess energy, even though energy wasn't that crazy in July, then yeah, CPI could ruin a lot of this momentum. But if CPI is relatively decent, I know we had oil spike up today, which doesn't help, then I think these names can actually be judged on their earnings, not just some of the macro stuff. Yeah, Nebius will be tomorrow after hours, or sorry, in the morning. And CPI also will be tomorrow morning. All right, so tomorrow morning is going to be pretty volatile with all that stuff going on as well. CoreWeave, again, there you go, 10.4%. There it is, 100. There she is, 11%. Okay, now the buyers are stepping in right here. It's almost at 101, dude. There you go, right there. About 30 seconds ago, that's when you saw. There she is, 101.20. All right, that's more like it. Not a horrible earnings reaction as long as the call goes well, and Nebius should be moving as well, right? Yep, Nebius 206. Dude, Burry is $5 away from being underwater on these shorts. Imagine if Nebius just like bounces to 230 tomorrow. Like Nebius is known to do that. Like, you know, it could go up 10, 15% in a day. It used to do that every other day in April, May, and June. So just need a really good print. But overall, regardless of the stock price, the actual execution on CoreWeave was pretty strong. All right, so it is Tuesday. We have not done this for about a week, but it is indeed Tuesday. Again, if you want more coverage on CoreWeave, go to Tanner's stream. He'll be streaming the call. But since it is indeed Tuesday, we have to do something on Tuesday, which is go through the technicals of the market with someone who I think understands technicals pretty well and also just had a baby girl a couple of days ago. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to roll the intro.
What's up? There she is.
What's it like? 2 kids? This has
Dude.
got to be a little surreal for you, I would imagine.
It's is my mic okay? Am I
Yeah,
working?
you're good. Yeah, you're good.
I don't know. I knew she was coming. I had a feeling, right? Like I had a feeling she was coming early, man. It was so close. So close. But yeah, I'm looking at her little picture. What a cutie.
I'm just so happy you got back on time. The fact
my
that you said
God.
there was supposed to be an 80% chance that it happened in September and that 20% kicked in.
I mean, that was a swag, but I think it was actually higher than 80%. But like, yeah, she wasn't due until like, technically, I think she was supposed to be due on September 3rd. And then they moved up the date like a week. And so on paper, she's technically a preemie, believe it or not. She was like 35, maybe 36 weeks. But yeah, so she was early. I'll tell you what, the doctors are like, okay, this girl does not act or looks like anything that was like early. She was born, actually, believe this, bigger than my firstborn. So she was bigger than my firstborn. Yeah, she's doing great. I mean, don't know what to tell you. She's gaining weight. She's good. She's good. We have to go in a lot of doctor's appointments though, just because she was technically early. But yeah, I think we are very likely good to go. So I'm happy, man. The boy, it's this weird transition of acclimating at home because like the boy is like, he thinks it's a big joke. Like he just looks at her and laughs. But she's still like a stranger, I think, to him in his home. So like, what are you guys doing here? What's actually happening? But
There's always kind of issues with jealousy with the first kid, right? Like there's always that stuff that happens.
yeah, and I don't really know because I was technically an only child. Well, I mean, I have brothers and sisters, but I didn't grow up with them. So it's a weird dynamic that I'm actually not familiar with. But yeah, 2 for 2 on the cuteness factor. Both of these kiddos just came out like out of control. She looks exactly like her brother did when he was born too.
So 2 things. First of all, I think all of us in the chat are super excited for you and actually very happy that you chose to join us on a Tuesday after you just had a baby. So really appreciate you taking the time to still be with us today.
Yeah, not even a week old. Like not even kind of a week old. But
second, and you can pull up your trading view. We got a lot to get into. But I want to ask you one question. I don't want you to think about the answer to this question. I want you to answer it as if your life depended on it. Just quick, the first thing that comes to mind. I'm curious what the chat will say. I also want the chat to answer this question if you were in Jason's position. I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it. And I just want to give you the first answer. If you could only buy Charlie one stock for the rest of her life, starting today, what is it? This is for the rest of her life. She gets owned one name.
dude, that's brutal. I mean,
it's got to be a gut reaction. What is it?
It's got to be Microsoft right now. I don't know.
Okay.
Just because I really don't think it's going anywhere. It's coming off the lows. Probably recovery time.
No, but it's for the rest of her life.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Okay, all right.
For 50 years or however 80, 100 years.
I thought you had a big hood, bro. I thought that's really easy. Like,
I mean, dude.
Or Palantir. I mean, but hood is it's going to grow with investors over the next.
When I think about this, I gotta know that for sure. 100 years from now, that's where my mind goes. But like, she'll have hoodies. She'll have all of it. I don't know what to tell you. It is. Oh, you're sharing the screen now. Look at this. What a crazy market we're in, though, huh? Big old.
So let's get right into it because I've got a lot of questions. Other people have questions, but let's start with SPY. We're basically at all-time highs. I'm really curious what you think happened over the past 2 weeks, and more importantly, where the hell are we going to go from here? Is the big question.
I might have to go Amazon too, dude. Just the Mag 7. She's just gonna get the Mag 7. And we'll be good.
At that point, you just buy QQQ.
No, that's 100 stocks. I just want the 7.
That's fair.
Why, by the way, does a Mag 7, like actual, only these 7 companies not exist?
It is. It's MAGS.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's been out there for it hasn't done well, but at least relative to other stuff.
All right.
All right, we can put 2-3 minutes on the clock. S&P. Let's get started with that.
Yeah, so Friday, we got our NFP range, which is right here. Clock should be on. Where's the clock? Clock. Boom. Ready to go. Welcome, by the way. It's been a minute, so we put the clock here just because, I may or may not have remembered to take my ADD meds. I really don't know. I don't know if that's a sign or what. But anyways, so that's where we are. How come this is not? Holy Jesus. Sorry. Get up there. There it is. That's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, so Friday high. This is like whenever we get a non-farm payroll day, to me, this has an 88% probability of marking the high or the low for the entire month within a 1 to 2% range. This is well within 1 to 2%. Really, the only question is, did we see the high or did we see the low for the whole month? And I think, the high has been tested, the low was tested today. We have not broken. So technically from a trend perspective, we're still consolidating. So not still, we just came out of a bit of a breakout here, and now we're starting to consolidate. So stocks run and then they rest and then they run again. So it's just a matter of which way is this going to run next. So give this a bit to breathe. Tomorrow's CPI, I heard you mention it, is significant. It is a very big deal. It's not my favorite indicator, but it is the market's actual favorite indicator from an economic perspective. What I'll tell you is this: if we do continue higher, just from this basic breakout right here, so if this is the consolidation that we're coming out of, even if we have a bit of a pullback like that, this target actually takes us just over 800. So that is your upside target on SPY as it stands for the month. If we can continue on this trend, assuming that 760 holds, that is legitimately where we should actually go. If we get a pullback and retest in this area, that's actually fine as well. I think that would line up for support to be, I'll use this level right around 750, mid 750s, mid to low 750s. That's where our support area is going to be, right in here. And that's a basic pullback. It might be pretty quick, actually, if I were just to measure this from here to here. Yeah, that's exactly a 50% retracement from this low to that high. That's that big kind of push, like I don't know how many days, 5-day push. Right in here is about a 50% retracement. Anyways, technically that would be a break retest, and what you'd be looking for is some kind of, I'll just do orange, some kind of like pullback, hold, and then breakout again. That would actually be pretty textbook from a support perspective. So break, retest, and you rally. That would be ideal. So any way you slice it, even if we pull back just a little bit, honestly, it looks pretty good. And even if we don't pull back, we are currently on trajectory as it stands right now for just over 800 for the month on SPY. So everything looks good. We're in an active breakout. Let it breathe and see what happens next. I think CPI is going to be a big one, whether or not we get that retest or just a full-blown continuation, which also perfectly fine as well. That's what tomorrow will tell us. QQQ, just moving on really quick. Similar story. We actually do use NFP levels on Qs as well, but the upside here, resistance is around 730, and support is around same as the 700s. We actually had a little bit of a breakdown on Qs previously down here that was on just at the end of July, broke down out of this current consolidation. So I say current consolidation is this kind of bit of a triangle. Broke down here, so break, retest, failure, and then actually has since rallied all the way back up and reclaimed that same consolidation. Crazy, right? So if this is on track to make a new breakout, just going to give you a quick measurement right now. Yeah, as long as this is holding over 702, this is on track for all-time highs. Also, wow, hold on. I guess that's right. Also 800. Is that wild? Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So also
that would be kind of funny if the Qs.
I'm literally just measuring this right. I didn't have this before, but yeah, if this essentially consolidation here breaks, which I'll just use orange, like here, this little it's basically like people would call it like a bull flag and you're consolidating. We did break down, like I said, once here, but then quickly reclaimed. And if this does continue on, around that 735 area is what I was literally saying is it's going to be right here. You would have trajectory into over 800. So that would be the AI trade coming back, which, you know, we'll see. How do you feel about the AI trade, by the way?
I think, you know, we probably bottomed in July with the Leopold situation. I am very curious to get your. Let's actually do this stock next because it leads into the discussion that you're asking about. Micron, you're seeing a lot of these names consolidate that were staples of the AI trade. So how are you thinking about why they're consolidating, and do you think they're coiling for a breakdown or a breakup?
So in trading, we don't. I'll start the timer now. In trading, we don't. You're not supposed to anticipate. So the question of do I think they're coiling for a breakdown or a breakout? It's one of those. It's a question that as an active trader, you really want to fight. Like you don't want to. You don't want to even attempt to answer that.
Well, why? What's the logic again?
Because if you have like an opinion when something's in consolidation, essentially you'll probably anticipate the actual move. Real technical analysis, as you're finding out. So congrats, by the way. I think you've been doing pretty good on your day trading. As you find out, it's more about reacting quickly rather than anticipating in general, right? So like I see an active move happening, you know, like let's say Q's or SPY or Google today is actively breaking down intraday. Like, okay, it's as an active trader, you're like, this is obvious. It's going down. I'm going to go with the momentum. But you didn't have to do that before it actually started breaking down. There's no reason to do that. As an active trader, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to react quickly when something's in motion as it's actually happening. So we don't tend to anticipate. So which is why, you know, people laugh when I say like, oh, it could go here, it could go there. And I'm like, over this level, then here, below this level, then down here. That's why I say the things that I say, the way that I say them is because after many, many years, you kind of know it's like, no, you have to wait for what we call a trigger. You have to wait for a move to be in active motion. And then you can get on and ride a wave. But you don't want to be sitting there. Dude, congrats. Twins on Friday. Holy, that I could not imagine. But yeah, you don't want to be sitting there waiting for your set to come in, already standing up on your board. Like if you're a surfer, you know, it's not like there's no reason to do that. You want to get on, ride the wave, and then get off without wiping out. And the whole trick of that is literally being able to react in real time quickly, but without anticipating. And that in a nutshell is actually the whole finesse of trading. So for those reasons,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
a lot of sense.
And I think you're seeing that, right? Like I've heard you many times be like, oh, you know, this it was obviously going, it had broken all these support levels. It was obviously going down. I just took it for a little ride, got in, got off, and made a couple bucks. And that's what trading is. That said, for Micron, here we are. So this is that prior breakout level. That's about 816. I have this labeled as BOS, which stands for break of structure. We've actually broken, retested, and it's holding. So again, stocks run, they tend to rest, and then they'll either run again, but we don't know in what direction. So I think CPI has a lot to do with everything. We're still in an active breakout from even this last area here, which is around the 400 something that we were talking about. You remember this one? About the 400s. This is well beyond pretty much any measured kind of move that you would actually have on this, just to make sure. Yeah, actually. Well, that's interesting. Interesting here is that 300 level or 800 level, sorry, is a clean triple. So what I did, I just measured this consolidation right here, and I doubled it, and then I tripled it, and that is actually 802, which is almost exactly that prior break of structure. So I'd say as long as it's holding, I give it a little room. This one moves quite a bit, so I would say 720. As long as it's holding 720, I think your structure is actually still intact, and that kind of sets up for a bit of a basing area. Oops, sorry, it's been a minute like this. And ideally, if that can actually get over 940s, I think low 800s, mid 700s is a tradable support for now. You just don't want to see it below whatever number I said. I think it was 720. Below 720, yeah, she's going back to fours. But we haven't We got close to 700. We got 700, but it didn't hold. Immediately bounced right here. I think this is where your boy Leopold actually sold, and Citadel or whoever bought it up.
Do you think 1250 is gonna it's gonna need to chill above 1,000 for a while, or could that happen all at once? The way it
So
happened?
we're about out of time on this, but I'm gonna pause the timer for just a second if that's cool, and I'll do a theoretical really quick for you. So let's assume that 700 area right over here is the low, and let's assume that as we enter into earnings, some shorts will cover. What that's going to create is this massive consolidation from 1250 to 700. And when we identify that, assuming that this is the low, which we don't know, that would be anticipating. What did I say? 950.
Yeah.
If it's over 950, then we're very, very likely going to go into one area. So we're going to say this is where the bears live. So if you want to be a good bull, you want to know where the bears live, at least attempt to be a good bear. And the bears are going to be sitting right around 1050. So what this would mean from an active trader is that you have a range here that you could actually trade. Let's say something like this. That's a pretty solid trade. And that's about 25% on equity alone. That's a very good trade into earnings. I would call that the short covering type rally. So I would not be opposed to seeing this actually just over 1,000 before earnings. After earnings, if it's over 1075, this is very likely going to break out in its entirety. I'm not even going to worry about like this here. I would say that is probably going to break. And if that happens, it's going to look a little bit like this. You're going to have this, and that is going to take you to between 15 and 1800.
Which is kind of where the fair value price targets lie anyway.
So this is pathing. Screenshot it, whatever you need to do. This would be a momentum setup, just so the chat knows. And what I mean by that is that on my screen, there are some lines here. So you would screenshot this and you would say, okay, if this is over 980, right, 950, it's going to go to 1050. At 1050, that's the big one. So over whatever this is, 1050, 1075, something like this, essentially this area right here. If it can get through that, assume that becomes support again, and your next target is over that 1250. This becomes momentum at that point, is that it can go sideways for a little bit. That's fine, but it cannot really lose that level. And if that holds again, momentum will take it then just over 1500, between 15 and 1600 right here. Let it breathe for a little bit. And if it's back over 16, then your next stop is 18. And so this becomes a momentum trade, phased out. So like phase 1 here, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And it actually has to hold each one of these levels through the entire time. If at any point, let's say it loses, let's say it does this, right? Goes up and then it loses, call it 1520. Expect this to come all the way down to 1250, because again, this is straight momentum. If it loses 1250, expect it to come back down to just under 1,000. So at any point, if any one of those levels that I just outlined are lost, expect it to come back down to the next level and assume that that acts as support. And again, this is all predicated on a guess that this is the recent low around 700. If this is right, then we will see exactly this play out. I mean, to a T. We can come back to this and screenshot it and it'll be near exact. That's how stocks actually usually work. But if at any point it doesn't do what I just outlined, just know, well, maybe it's not working out and it's not ready to roll. If it is ready, you'll see exactly that. Cool.
Okay. NVIDIA.
I feel like NVIDIA is so big move off NVIDIA. I really would like to see this hold about 213. Right here, right now, I actually like it. So 212.16, I don't know if you knew this or not, is that prior peak right here. Did you remember this one? 212, just
from October, right? Yeah,
October. So we're back above that finally. And this is essentially like what I just drew on Micron. forgot to hit the play button. Very similar. We call this like pathing. So this is actually on track. It's doing what I just outlined on Micron. This is about the equivalent of about 1050 on Micron. It can go a little bit sideways as long as it's holding 1213. Then the next move is to 235, which is all-time highs, and ultimately 265s, potentially slightly higher in the 280s, which is outlined over here. So this is actually doing well. It's in like peak bearish territory though. So all I would say is like, congrats if you caught the first move. From here, we just want to see the bears slowly fold their hands. If this cannot hold 212, then this trade is invalidated, meaning it's a short and it's probably going back to 180s. But as long as it's holding that 212 area, this is broken the near-term downtrend like this guy. So this was that prior, call it red, prior downtrend here. That is now broken. And even a pullback or hold in this area is pretty bullish to make the next move higher. But yeah, I think this, you probably get close to 230 pre-earnings. There's a little bit of a session gap, 235, very possible. And I think I said it a few weeks ago where, NVIDIA is in fact set up to report earnings at all-time highs. So that statement stands. We are on track, and it's doing exactly what it needs to do. I think this can pull back slightly. Broadcom is actually in a very similar spot. So I think Broadcom and NVIDIA both report towards the end of the cycle, and those might be the next ones that start to pick up a little juice.
CoreWeave after hours, Jason. I don't know if you want to just look at that real quick. That's up 11%.
Yeah, I mean, right off the support again. I think if you bought CoreWeave here, you don't sell. I think you ride this. I think you see high 140s again, or high 130s at least. It's technically still in its downtrend. It's gonna fight. It's gonna open up a bit extended tomorrow into CPI. Also, this is after hours action, so very thinly traded. We can get pretty excited. Don't not celebrate. This is really good, right? This is a nice little breakout. All I'm saying is be careful that you don't have one of these. So sometimes that first break of a downtrend, which this is initially that first break, as long as this holds whatever 93, 90, just relatively speaking, as long as it holds the 90s in general, yeah, I just wouldn't sell this. I would not sell this. I think this is a spot you could add, especially if you go back and rewind to what I was saying about the Qs. Think about this. If the Qs actually did see the low for the month and the SPY has already seen the low for the month, and we're going to 800 on QQQ, we're going to 800 on SPY, how is CoreWeave not $140? So I just, with that context, and this is why we always start with the major indices, yeah, just strap in. I think if you took profit, it might be a little early. Nobody's going to blame you. I would just kind of tighten my stop loss. This is a great trade in progress. I think it looks really good. And there are a lot of these exactly right now. Imagine the market likes CPI tomorrow. Just imagine this and go back through your lists. CoreWeave does good. Nebius fires off. CPI has a good market reaction. I'm not talking about whether or not the actual numbers are good or bad. I don't mean that at all. I'm just saying that the market actually likes it. The amount of AI stocks that are at the lows, boys and girls, it might be time to go fishing. All I'm saying, yeah, this is a moment where, coming into seasonality, August is a little crazy. I think this is we're continuing to be in this trader's market, whereas people may have been positioned for a sell-off on summer. Seasonality's been off all year, slightly. It's possible that we don't. And if that's the case, anyone who was ready and positioned for, summer doldrums or whatever is going to have to buy in anyways. And we'll have another short squeeze yet again on our hands. It's a little early to say, but yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all. I think it's a very solid possibility.
CoreWeave right now is up 72% from the lows in July, but it's still down 30% from the highs. If Nebius can crush tomorrow, I agree with you. These stocks are shorted heavy. I mean, they might be the catalyst to get memory to move and all the other AI names to
Absolutely.
have some
I don't know that I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard something about like a short memory, long optics type trade.
Yes.
You know, I would very much be into that. Like I wouldn't necessarily say that I want to. You and I actually have never been the biggest memory bulls from a price action perspective. I think from a technology perspective, yes, we do agree. Like this is going to be super important, but how much has actually been pulled forward? That's really the question, and that goes across the entire cohort of stocks as well, right? Like how much are we pulling forward? That really becomes a bigger question. And in the midst of some maybe short covering rallies and things like that, why I say it's like a trader's paradise out here is like, dude, there can be some like really epic moves. I mean, like AAOI, I took from like $90 the other day to like $150 in a week, 50% gain. I mean, Fastly's up double from the lows. I mean, guys, it's you know, and I've said, you know, it's a raging bull market for a while. And then we have like this 50% pullback on a lot of stocks. I never said it wasn't like a raging bull market. It still is. It's just, you know, how much did we pull forward? And now reality sets in a little bit. It's like, okay, you know, it doesn't mean that anything that you were thinking from a logic perspective has changed. I just think that it becomes more of a fundamental accounting practice of like, how expensive do things get? How much have you actually pulled forward on a price appreciation perspective, or discounted really?
Palantir.
Dude, congrats. So we are here. We've been tracking this. We can stay on 5 for Palantir. Is this wild or what? Like we outlined this kind of broadening formation for a while. This was a series of lower lows and lower highs, essentially. Come out of this. So what I'm talking about, we've said this many times, like low, lower low, technically lower low, yet again another lower low, but at the same time we have high, higher high, even higher high, which sets up for a broadening formation like this. So where we are right here right now on Palantir is right at the top end of that broadening formation that I mentioned the last month or so, that I've been mentioning the last month or so. 168 is your peak bearish territory one more time. So you're at resistance. This is a spot to be more cautious than optimistic, quite frankly. I do like defense, and I will say that, but this one can pull back a little bit and still be good. So first break of the downtrend. Again, the downtrend is actually broken. So it's this guy right here. So connecting this high, breaks here, retest, holds, that's good. This can come in and even do it again, and that's still be good. So as long as, I think below 168, what I will say is expect a 150s pullback, mid 150s, something like this. And that's not horrible. It doesn't have to do this. This is a momentum thing. And this would be your consolidation. So if you see something like this, then that's okay. Jessica's here. Yes. I don't know. Might have to go early. She didn't text me. Or is she texting?
Yeah, just let me know. Let me know whenever. I agree with you though. Palantir, I mean, like a flush to 150s could happen pretty easily because the volatile, the volatile nature of it. But I think you would agree we're kind of out of that 120, 130 doghouse.
Yeah. So like, and my point is that as long as it's over 150, this level on my screen is actually 155, 156.95. It's not broken trend. So this actually becomes support now. So support is now elevated, to your point, closer to 150 56.95, and as long as that holds, this should be good. And if it actually breaks out, I mean, defense in general also is looking fairly interesting.
Yeah, but the drone stocks starting to get some
Yeah, actually, like Kratos, all of them are starting to look good. What I will say is like this is still on trajectory to like 250 next year, maybe higher. If it's below 155, then this trade is then invalidated. Again, if this, then that. That's where it would be invalidated, but right now it's not. It's just a momentum as long as it's holding. Next stop 207s, and then 250s.
By the way, Accelera just announced a public offering of stock. We don't have the exact number. No, 200 million. 200 million. So
Yeah, the guys are talking about Kratos. Kratos is like I'm with this one. I'm long equity Kratos. I had options on it before. It is recovered now. Sorry, I just saw the chat. But this is
we can in the next 5 minutes we can just go through all the drone stocks that you're thinking of.
Yeah, so like Kratos is really good. 52.76 was like a pretty big inflection point. So from a technical pullback from this low to this extreme high, which is 130. Imagine 135 extreme high pulls back to 52, and we can hold the mid 50s from here. Next stop should be 70s, and this sets up for an epic reversal. I mean, epic reversal.
Also, Jason, real quick, is your AC on?
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah, it's making a little bit of noise in the background. There you go. That's perfect.
I think I'm better.
That's a lot better. Yeah.
I did. You know what? I don't know if you saw this in New York. I was melting, so I'm just not used to the 80% humidity and 80 degrees in at 6 a.m. I brought my desk fan. I happened to bring my fan, and I was like, "How loud is this?"
It's definitely more humid than SF. That's for sure.
It's melting. Kratos is interesting. As an aside, they actually specifically said in 2 earnings ago that this was going to be the time that they bottom out and they were going to start looking better moving forward. So across the board, a lot of these AV, there you go. Very similar setup here. Right off 140s. Axon actually, this is technically drones too, has recovered.
This is up 100% from the lows.
Exactly. Well, if you caught the actual lows, we actually caught this somewhere on 390s in the server, in our trading server. I mean, what are the other ones?
Ondas.
Ondas, let's see. Yeah, so over 850. This one reports, though. I don't think it really matters that much. But yeah, over 850. I think 770 was like not looking good, and I actually reclaimed it not too long ago. Space is also looking better. What's another?
AVAV.
We did Red Cat. Yeah, also constructive. So a lot of these coming off the lows are telling me that, I'm looking at, look at Redwire. Yeah, if they can continue. Now, some of these are significantly off the lows. Yeah, Space, SPCX. Some of these are significantly off the lows. SpaceX has not. This needs to get back over its IPO price of 150. But dude, even this little, like, look at this. So downtrend is broken right now. And this little blip off, like, what is that? 112 to, okay, that's 25% on equity. Not even catching the low. If you actually caught a low, yeah, that's 35%. I mean, these are big bounces. So this is more like interesting. UMAC, there you go. That's what I was thinking. Unusual machines. Yeah, all very similar. Have like big downtrends, massive pullbacks, 50% plus on a lot of these names, and now starting to recover across the board. Definitely. Are we back? I don't know, guys, if we're actually back yet or not. But
These CoreWeave earnings feels like we're closer to being back, but to your point, how much of that is pulled forward, I think is what the question is.
Right. You know, as much as I would love to see another V-shaped recovery, I don't know that we actually get it. What I can, or we 50 UVAS, what I can say is, you know, UVAS. Oh, not showing up. UAVS, I think is what they're thinking of. No, I have no idea what that is.
CoreWeave 105 after, wow, Street's liking it. Street's 16%, dude. That's a lot.
It's a lot of percent on one candle, but like when you look at it, it's like, all right. And I do have after hours on. Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, it's like it was down in the lows. We should see 110 tomorrow, by the way.
Okay, Microsoft 500
dude.
is back.
She's back, baby. Do you sell? Like, do we sell?
I mean, if you bought it 350, I don't know if it goes back to 350 easily. So I kind of feel like you just ride it out at this point.
Yeah. So it I think this is a question when we always say this, like your time horizon is what really matters. And hopefully that means like how you're trading it. Like if you're on short-term options, yeah, go ahead, take a profit, right? Medium-term options, yeah, definitely take some profit, right? I would say if you're using any kind of leverage vehicle, take some profits and maybe reload if we catch a higher low from here. It's today, not a new high, right? So today is actually the first day. And I can say this across the board for a lot of Mag 7 specifically today. Whereas like here's yesterday's high, 511. The day before yesterday, 503. Today, currently 501. So we're slowly stepping down. You're losing the momentum. Look, I mean, understandably, after a massive move, I think this one you take a breather, right? So chillax. I probably would take down any leverage bets on this. Let this pull back. See, if this can hold the 450s, dude, this is going to look really good. And if your time horizon is long enough, if this was an investment, don't touch it. Why would you touch this? Right? Like you might never see that 350 ever again. Who knows? But just the same from a trading perspective, congrats. It's a great trade. And I would say that the current trade is near its end. Can it go higher? For sure. Right? It can. But at the same time, why press it? Like, just from a trading perspective, I'll just say there are two levels of support. One is about 480. And if that holds and you see another pathing like this, you're into that 550s. So pull back into 480s, upside to 550s. If 480 does, if it does lose 480, then you're looking at that 450. But it doesn't. That's where we are. Any continuation is just continuation. That is not until it's over 513. At that point, though, I would let this guy breathe for a bit, especially as we have more exciting stocks starting to report in the very near term. Be a victim of some near-term profit taking, but I think they did a good job, and the stock looks great.
Zeta.
Let me change this to. What do I have? 2 minute 45 second?
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
Zeta. There you have it. Post earnings, right in that. I think we talked about this last time, 2 weeks ago, that this was, I remember talking about this was why I don't sell cover calls on my investments. But anyways, yeah, Zeta looks decent. It's in an active breakout as we speak.
How do you define active breakout technically?
And it's making a new high right now. Like right now, like closing at 29.14 is higher than the prior near-term close of 28.43. So active means it's actively in the process of making a new high. Like if it was an active breakdown, it would be currently making a new low. When you trade, technically you want to go long on higher lows. It might be counterintuitive because depending on how you learned, most people learn it like they need to see confirmation or continuation. It's actually a process of how things confirm breakouts and things like that. So it's like, one, you need to see this level break, and two, you need to see whatever candle you're using close over that, and then three, you need to actually see a continuation, meaning yet another new high. So this is a continuation day. It's not an entry day. It's a stay long, be long type day. And so as long as this holds, I think a pullback on this could even be as low as 24.50, 24.45. It's still fine. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. If this goes, you are,
35. Yeah.
45 maybe. Oh no. Is 50 on the
I think 35 was the prior all-time high, I think.
No. We would break that. This would make a new high. Like 50.
50 would be, I mean, that would be more than a double in like 5 months. That'd be incredible.
But yeah, no, so again, I'm just talking technically, I'm not talking fundamentally. Technically, as long as it's holding that 27 area, your next stop is that 36 to 38. And again, if it holds over 38.20, that's one more continuation confirmation that's what brings it to 50s. What does that put that from a market cap perspective? I don't do well with the accounting of PEs and things like that. I just 7 billion market cap, that would be 15 billion. Yeah, I can see that easy day. Easy day, that would be 20 billion.
Yep. I agree. Tesla.
Tesla. All right, so Tesla here. Ooh, look at that.
I think when you left for the past 2 weeks, that's when this thing really took a hit.
I mean, right off of that 300 area, that was an important level to hold. This is coming from this prior consolidation low. So 300 is important. I feel like this is a 10% bounce. It's a big bounce. What I would say is there's a couple levels to get through that it has not yet. So one being like this prior low right here, which is about 340s, and then this prior low right here around 380. So over 340, cool. We have a move to 380. Over 380, move to 415 becomes another kind of momentum type continuation or reversal, if you will, because it is currently in a downtrend. So it would be a reversal setup. Right here, right now is near-term support or near-term resistance. So if I'm looking to actively trade that, what I would do is I would say, all right, a 50% pullback from this 300 sub 300 low, 290 low to 330 high of today. 310s is actually 310s is actually a reasonable pullback to hold and then take another go at the 20-day. So this white line on my screen here, that's the 20-day simple moving average. All recoveries. So think about super simple. If you're using SMAs, this is a daily simple moving average. I know it's a 4-hour chart. It's just, I have my SMAs always locked onto the daily. All the breakdowns, any breakdown always starts with like losing the 20-day simple, right? Over here, it always starts that way. Recoveries, reversals always start same way by reclaiming that. So if this were to reclaim this, that's a pullback, locking a higher low here, and then something like that. That sets up perfectly fine. 310, 315 up to 380 trade. I don't hate that at all, actually. If this is were to get like a little bit of a dead cat bounce or just a bounce, but you know, it's a low.
You're not it's not one of the more attractive opportunities setups in the market for you right now.
If it was around 310, it would be very attractive. And I saw buyers coming in, I would be all about this. But right here, right now, it's like I missed the first move. So I want to wait for the second move to show itself.
Rocket Lab.
She looks good. You know, I've noticed a lot of I've noticed a little bit of pattern. I don't know if you have either. Maybe just because I've been slightly out of it for a bit, but I've noticed a lot of stocks kind of selling off. So here's Rocket Lab earnings. A lot of stocks kind of selling off out of the gate when they reported. And I turn around and I'm like, huh, they're recovering like the very next day. So
Yep.
Similar situation here, Rocket Lab. I mean, off the lows by far. If this is over 82, then I would say this is likely going to do one of those retracements like that I was just talking about right now. So over 82, I can see this at 95s one more time very quickly for another press to the upside. So as long as it's holding 72, this is in the cards. You just don't want to make it. I don't want to see it make a new low from here. If you're long, I think you stay long. Otherwise, kind of wait for a little bit more follow through. It's a kind of a sketchy spot. There's another one that's similar, maybe a little bit more in the clear, and that's Uber, where it sold off on earnings just recently, but yet you look back. Sorry, I'm just doing a tangent. You look back and you're like, huh, okay. You know, here's the earnings candle. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Big sell off, right? And then 2 days later, she's back to the highs and then breaking out over the 200. And you're like, wow, what's actually happening right now? This looks pretty constructive. So I like this one. We'll see. I like Rocket Lab.
ASTS, you think that kind of? I mean, it recovered today as well from.
Yeah. So a lot of the space. So they're all kind of grouped together: aerospace and defense, right? So aerospace and defense will trade, generally speaking, in sync with each other. 68 is a tradable low on ASTS that comes from this prior area over here. So if this holds, then you're on track for 90s. Again, not a bad trade at all. Potentially in the 100s. But I had this. This is what we had mapped out in the past. So it's about to confirm. So we already broke over 68, one more high, and then it's an active reversal.
I know they have earnings tomorrow, but any thoughts on Nebius at these levels in general?
Ooh. Okay. So I don't know how much it normally moves. Are you going to put me on the spot right now?
180 or 230, if you had to pick.
239.23.
239.23.
Yeah.
Dude, if it breaks out into like the 240s tomorrow, it would be
244 potentially. 244.30, I can see. But this is where the bears are. So those levels that I just kind of talked about, it's if it can get through 220, this is where the bears live. I think this is at least on its way to 220 tomorrow. This is like probably before they report. And then another push would be, I don't know, what is that? Another 10%. And it's still not quite out of the weeds. If this thing is holding over 245 though, the bears have essentially covered their shorts and they have lost. So when I do these charts, what I'm actually mapping out is like, okay, if you're long or you're short, where would you have gotten short? Where would you be getting long? And how can I tell on the chart who's winning this battle? Because reading the candles is literally like reading a book of like a storyline of like, one's good versus evil or whatever, right? And it's like who's winning the battle today. I know it sounds corny, but it's when you understand that actually price action is literally just a representation of people's emotions and near-term money, it starts to make a lot of sense. So over 245, the bears are definitely losing. The bulls are about to take over decisively, and you should see. Dude, you're gonna make me do this. You should see a 380 handle on this. What's even better is that this pullback, I don't know if you had this, from this October high is almost like a picture perfect retest of the 200-day simple and that exact high and that first breakout retest and reaction. It's constructive. If it doesn't do this, then it is at least 160 yet again to pull back in here. There's Nebius. Are you muted? Are you talking? If you're talking, you're muted.
Sorry.
All
I was
I
saying,
heard
yeah,
was-
I was saying I agree with you. The Burry short also probably got a lot of people to pile into the shorts at 212. But if this thing opens at like 225, 230 tomorrow, he's down a good chunk on the. He said he went in with large size, so that would be he would have to either double down or really believe it's fake. And then if it bounces into 250, 255, consolidates there like it did for all of June.
Did he give a target?
No, he just said he's short at 212. So, I mean, and if Nebius pumps, I think Micron probably follows because they tend to move together. I mean, it's interesting. He didn't short CoreWeave. He shorted Nebius. So it's one of those things where it's like he probably thought CoreWeave was undervalued relative to it. But if Nebius crushes tomorrow, they're going to probably maintain their premium that they've had.
Yeah, I see some like really wild shorts too that are out there on the option chain, like really wild shorts that are kind of like I'm looking over at my another screen. You can have size, but like honestly, those shorts, if you were short at 215, I'll just tell you the way that he trades. I've seen some of his trades on the chain. The guy probably already doubled his money from an options perspective. So it's likely he already took a lot of profit off and is just in.
He didn't use options though. He just shorted equity.
Oh, okay.
He didn't use puts at all.
If he just shorted equity,
I mean,
he's likely he probably already covered, dude. Quite frankly, it was a good win. If it was at 212,
yeah, 212 to 185. Then yeah, it's a decent.
I mean, how much? Well, just for
But I don't think he shorted for a $20 move. Like
it's a 20% move.
Yes, but granted, what do I know? I mean, like usually he would have said, "I'm out of the short." Maybe he'll say it tomorrow when Nebius pumps. He'll be like, "Oh, I covered it already." Like
who says that? When you're actually short, do you tell people that you covered your shorts? Probably not. Why would you do that? Like for what purpose?
That's a fair point. AMD.
Some of the chips, yeah, I think they're all AMD, Intel actually looking very similar in terms of, and Micron and SanDisk. So these are the ones that have moved a lot. Technically, AMD it looks heavy. It doesn't look great near term, but this is, yeah, it's definitely resting right now. If this is, I think last time I said the same thing. If this is below like 435, this is get out of the way. You're probably in a lot more trouble than anything else right now. But for all intents and purposes, this is still, it's barely holding on, but by like a thread. So AMD is not breaking down. It's definitely not breaking up. It is decisively in consolidation. It's been going sideways for the better part of 2 months. Actually, exactly at 470 and change since for 3 months. Actually, it's been going sideways for 3 months. So big run, just to be clear, right? Big run, right? And actually, this is a big resting phase. So she's ripe and ready for another run. We just have to see it. So from a trading perspective, this can go one of two ways. Way one, right? And way number two. Now just kind of look at where those lines are that I just kind of put out. It's got a big box. So the box is from 547s down to 437, which is why I would say don't touch this in between. Just leave it be. Once it breaks out of this consolidation range, okay, you're ready for another run. She hasn't. So for right now, it's just going sideways. It looks weak. But again, CPI can come out, some kind of crazy deal can happen. You don't want to anticipate right now. If you're short AMD, that's fine. You could be short to 440 maybe, which is like a few bucks. It's a worthwhile short. It's smaller percentage, larger dollars. We're talking about $20 on Nebius, but and what is that? Maybe 6%, but $30 on AMD. That's what I would say support is, just around 440 for support on AMD. And we'll have to see. She's closer to the low end of support, looking a little weaker. Maybe she needs a catalyst.
SMCI, I don't know what they said on the call, but that 10% move is fading out a little bit. It was up 2%, now it's up 4%. So we might get some updates from them. AppLovin, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that stock. And I mean, in general, does it deserve technically to get punished as much as it is?
I don't know. I think that's more of a fundamental question.
More so like, has it lost enough support or moving averages where it's kind of obvious that it has to go down from here? I guess.
No. I mean, so AppLovin is one that has, when we measure stocks and you're kind of like picking what stock do I want to trade or what stocks I typically trade, we use something called ATR, or average true range, which is essentially another way to like decipher the volatility of an underlying asset. So the reason for bringing that up is because of your question. I think it's a little murky because a lot in terms of net dollars and percent for AppLovin, a stock that moves, I don't know, an average true range of like 7 to 10% on a daily basis, like could be significant, but it doesn't mean that it's actually fully broken down. This one has broken down a while ago. I think the breakdown was closer to 460s when it couldn't hold 500, essentially up here. Near term, it looks like it's heading to 230 type support. Whether that's expensive or cheap, I have no idea. I would have to lean on someone like you to help me figure that fundamental valuation out. Again, with those accounting things, 267 is the next stop on my list if 290 doesn't hold. Now, it's here. It's interesting to me. The more interesting thing is like if AI, I don't know who I was talking to, but like I was talking to a bunch of people in New York, and one thing that I know is like, okay, if AI in fact does actually help out a lot of companies, what will they do with the money that they end up saving? Honestly, advertise, which makes this whole sector very interesting to me. I'll speak firsthand as like, okay, even if I can waste a lot of money on advertising as a company, but in general, if we start to save money just from internal efficiencies, the first thing the first section area that money is going to go to is going to be advertising. And I mean, if it works, it works. And for those reasons, I'm kind of looking at, yeah, we have some potential savings coming, but the money's not flowing into these advertising companies quite yet. But I'll just say, like, yeah, that's exactly where money would go. So from a SaaS apocalypse perspective, after the semi-adjacent type names, I would actually be looking at something like an AppLovin or Shopify or whoever. Maybe not Trade Desk because there's something obviously wrong with that company. But the sector is very interesting. Now I don't have a position here, but it's getting interesting. So maybe towards the eating season, these become the bigger buys.
Meta.
Oh, and it would actually be Meta. Is probably the one that would take it. Also very, very tight consolidation here. She wants to break down. She's not able to. From a long-term perspective, so I'll just move this to a daily chart. I think it's, when you zoom out and you actually look left on a longer-term chart, you're like, okay, it hasn't really pulled back that much. So it's actually holding up quite a bit. It might not feel like it's holding up that great. Just take a beat, zoom out, look left. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's slowly on this downside trajectory. If this more recent low here, it's at 600. This is where we had our last support area, like 600s. If it can hold, it's to 673, and you're still fighting this prevailing downtrend. I don't know that I want to take this. What if I just took this? Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. It's just holding this prevailing downtrend right now. Below 590, it probably breaks it, but over 640, and ultimately this series of lower highs, which is this downtrend, it's got a ways to go. So it can bounce. I think this honestly looks like accumulation phase of some sort. More sideways action to come though. So if you like it, I think you could accumulate long term on big red days. Let's see this. This is from the lows. This is another one. Okay. It is another one. Look at that, dude. Earnings dump.
Yep.
Wow,
Recovery.
I didn't even notice that.
Complete recovery. You know?
Complete recovery. So yeah, this is the theme that I'm seeing. So some of these, if it can hold this 590 and actually continue on, it is into that 640 area. If not, 550 is support. I say significantly lower from a long-term perspective. It's not that much lower, but 550 is actually near-term support on Meta. Right over here.
Amazon, which you weren't here for earnings, but they crushed it.
They crushed it. Again, another Mag 7 that looks a little bit tired. So I'm seeing this Mag 7s. Where's the earnings? Right here. 257 is that high of the earnings move. I'll just take that. That's 260. Let's see if I have. Yeah. And from the entire sweep, 260 is also support. So 260 to 255, low 250s. That's going to align with your 20-day simple. Is going to align with this high right here and a basic pullback like that. That would be right into the 250 area. Sub 260 down to 250 is support on Amazon. Over 280 in strength, meaning like if it's actively breaking back to the upside, I think this is just a continuation and confirmation of continuation to is at 287, which I don't have it on my chart, but I know it's 3-something. 350s maybe. You'd have to back out to a very high time frame. Weekly view and say remove. Well, what was that? You can remove that. Let me just go clean time frame. If this whole thing is that prior consolidation that it's actually breaking out of tech. So this is a weekly chart, mind you. So break of 242 up, pull back, retest, holding. That's how you get to the 350 plus. That's a very long time frame. Chart looks great. It just made a big move, so let it rest. Yeah, that's 350s. And this can come into 260, 250s support. Next.
Okay, I think we can go to a minute now. We'll take some audience requests now. I think we did pretty much all the majors. I think there's a few we might have missed, but we'll get into that. But yeah, for those that have requests, you can put it in the chat. We'll try to get through as many tickers as possible. Let's do this one.
For these rounds, the lightning rounds or whatever we call it, are we just going to go buy, sell, hold? Or do we want to do buy, sell, hold, support, resistance?
Yeah.
Does that work?
I mean, that's kind of, yeah, that would be the best for.
We did do hood though. We didn't do
I was
hood.
about to say, let's do hood first. Yeah.
Okay. So hoodie, I'm very interested. CPI, I think so. Selling those $80 puts, I think 2 weeks ago was like money. But here now, look, we have that break just like this. Now we're coming in to retest this whole area, this price support. So if we can lock basically low, higher low, yet another higher low, this is on track to at least take another stab into the 120s. I really like hood here. I will just say that CPI is going to move this stock and SoFi. Any of your fintechs, these are definitely going to get affected. So post CPI, I think you can watch this. It's a break, retesting now, having held that $85 support area. You just don't want to see that get lost. This one actually looks somewhat constructive, but it's not in a spot where it's like, oh, I have to take this long. It's more of a accumulation for the long-term type spot. if this makes sense. I wouldn't expect this to explode tomorrow. If it did, I would be a little weary. And other than that, this is in a better consolidation phase. I just really need to see it hold that $85 support now.
Okay, let's start off with SoFi.
SoFi, right into 1850 resistance. So one more time into this $18, $19 area. Very similar story here. It's doing what it needs to do in terms of like a longer term consolidation and a base. That said, it's a fairly volatile stock. So this alone, even off of the earnings kind of pullback, you could see 1640s, 1630s actually, and that would be perfectly acceptable from a basic support pullback perspective, and not something I would be concerned about here. So I would call it low 16 support, and this is what that would look like if it eventually does break out. But again, something that would sets up for a few months to go before it actually moves. Next,
Marvell.
Okay, so this one's more interesting. A lot of these semi names, Marvell off the lows of 170. Holy this thing, what is that? 50% drawdown? I would say long. Support is at 180s, and you're about to get confirmation of a reversal if it can hold 200s. Next stop would be 250s on this. And she's looking like it's a reversal in progress.
Qualcomm.
See, now we're going faster. Again, Qualcomm, longer story here. QCOM. This is the spot. It's literally on the spot. 160 and slightly below. I think we breached that support, near-term support. If Qualcomm's trading over 170s, expect to see 190 in very short order. I think this is along with a tradable base. Support is 150 now. So below 150, this thesis is invalidated. But from here, I would like to see this start to slowly recover. And if it goes any higher than 175, it would be a fast momentum press over 190. Then it has to hold 190, and again, you're back on the mend. But from here, it's the first showings of a reversal. It's not a full reversal, so a little bit more cautious on this one. I don't think you have to be in a rush, but it looks constructive to me. Next,
Bloom Energy.
Ooh, dude, they're all the same, right? So break over the 20. Yeah, CPI is going to be a big day, man. CPI is going to be a big day. This is a bit dangerous of a setup here, my guy.
I feel like the neoclouds might determine how this one moves tomorrow as well.
Very weird, right? Like, this could be violent. You have Bloom Energy in the stupid stock draft, huh?
I do.
Do you want to swap
You and
it
me,
with-
you and me, dude, you and me, all of our picks are topped, or we picked them when they topped, unfortunately.
Literally the top. But honestly, I know you said you would change it. I wouldn't change mine, because if it works, it works. And that means just more volatility. You had to accept it. It is what it is. Having only drawn down 20% at the worst part, when a lot of these stocks drew down like 50% plus, is like par for the course to me.
No.
But yeah, if these work out, they're going to work out in a big way. This is over 400 if it actually does do this again.
And Bloom's executing very well. Like, those earnings were amazing. It's just,
yeah,
at 350, this stock got ahead of itself.
Yeah, and the thing is, it can get ahead of itself again, and it can get ahead of itself on the downside too. And that's when we start these green lines. That's that broadening range that we saw the same thing on SoFi many years ago. We saw it just recently on Palantir. And so having reclaimed that bottom end of that, if this is over 275, you have a big fat reversal on your hands, albeit that's a ways away, right? So from right here, right now, I think you just kind of like patiently wait. I think 180 is a tradable low. That's off of this general area right over here. So this coming into this area being like a tradable low, cool. And if it can continue on through, this is 280, right? That's how you get that big reversal, which actually takes it into over 450s. So I could see something like this, but this is the path that it would have to take, which on a name like Bloom means a lot more basing. Not horrible at all. But in a year's time, this could be significant. All right, next.
Google.
Goog's weak today. What was the headline? I don't know. But weakening today, losing the 50 and 20 in a single swing. I think 340 is the next stop. Very, very nearly at that. If it loses 340, your next support is the
You forgot the timer.
Yeah,
You
so
pressed it
340 right now near term. So it's a hold. It's a very near term short potentially down to 320s. At which point I would probably be long. But this is net. You're just kind of playing the edges of a longer term consolidation because this could just start to do this. And so that's where this 320 sub 340 support level comes from. Cool.
Reddit.
Yeah, I don't even need a minute right now. We're blowing through them. Reddit lost its upside squeeze. It's currently, I would assume this looks like it's squeezing shorts right now. It would be a sell on this guy near term. Yep. But only with the target to 145. So it's another $10, $15 from here, at which point that short is over and you could look at maybe this recovers, maybe it doesn't. But this is in a spot where it's about to squeeze downside short. So I'll be very careful on the Reddit. If this actually does a full-blown squeeze, ooh, that chart's not looking great. 120s, mid 120s, you just don't ever want to see below mid 120s on Reddit. Other than that, like it's just too dangerous. And I realized like last time it was over there, it did this. That's your support. 120s. Next.
Oracle.
Sure sell. Yeah, I don't know. This one below 135. Yeah, it's a short again, but it's right now it's kind of holding these prior lows right over here. So I think we're about to see before it actually rejected them and went downside. Right now it actually popped slightly over and is actually kind of holding right where it is. So hold. I can't say short. I can't really say long. If you want to take a crazy shot, you could long it, but you'd be anticipating rather than reacting. This is one of those where a setup is about to show up. And if it's over 150s, then this could see almost 200 for a nice 30% win. But I need to see more out of this one from here. Next.
SanDisk.
Same as Micron. Hold, wait, doing the same exact thing. Pulled back, basing. This is accumulation phase, so like it's not a tradable situation. It's like something's about to happen. So again, here's your current downtrend. You can pop up to 13, almost 1400, and it still be at risk. So be very cautious with this. It's a very small bounce. So this is what you don't want to see. I'm just going to make a little line in white here. It's holding that downtrend. But if this is to stay in a downtrend, you just wait for this to kind of like, and that's what happens in a downtrend, which is the same thing as this, which is the same thing as this, which is the same thing as this. Just be careful, right? So I need to see more. This is why this is like a don't anticipate, just watch, hold. Trade is coming. Hold.
There's Jason's Twitter as well in the chat, guys. And Scotty, thank you so much for the super chat. Congrats on the baby, Jason. Thanks for
thank you, man.
For us. Appreciate it, Scotty. Corning, which has made a pretty good comeback, to be honest.
How'd Lumentum do?
Let's
Light.
I mean, the earnings were fine. Light is flat.
Okay, so I think Corning is going to be a yeah. So again, it's a big move, but we don't have a lot yet. I think this is one where like we're very. You can look at this and be like, oh, okay, this is one where it's pretty off. I mean, I can't believe it's got to 115. I mean, I can believe it, but it's just like it feels so brutal. 170 is upside resistance here. If this can reclaim 170, then it's going to look really good. This is that prior support over here and what it's hitting its head into right now. So again, I don't want to see this. That would not be fun on Corning. I need to see a little bit more. It's actually on its way. If it does that, that's about just under 200. Anything from there, this could get really interesting. If this becomes a big, massive, if this becomes like a massive, just technical consolidation and pullback, again, this also gives me about a $200 resistance. So first stop 190 if this is long, second stop 210. But I would just give this a bit after CPI, then we can get a better read. Next, constructive. I'd be long Corning with a stop of 135 and a target over 250, well over 250.
I was going to say SK Hynix, but I think you have the same thing as
I don't know. Should I use the US one? No, this one. Why does this one not look good? I'm going to use the Korean one. Nearly a support for SK Hynix. 1.15 million won. Do your translation there. I can't. It's harder to do the US ADR because it doesn't have much history, and there's not really a point in charting the US ADR when this one is clearly available. So over 1.6 million, that looks good. Translate that however you see fit. I would call that over 160. It's looking better. Otherwise, probably a nearly tradable low off the 120s on SK Hynix. It's really hot in here now that I've had to turn my air conditioning, guys. I don't know. I feel like I should get paid overtime for this. Having to
for the audience, bro. You could turn it on, but if they start complaining, I mean, it's weird they can hear yours though. My AC's on and no one ever hears it. I don't know. It's weird.
Someone has Nokia. This is one again looking really good. I think you could be long Nokia here now. I think $9 was we already hit this $8 move. Sorry, I'm watching the chat from time to time. This is a pretty solid. I mean, look at this, dude. Break, right? Consolidate, confirmation, retest to the penny. This looks like it's worth the shot to me on Nokia long with a stop of 8. I like that risk reward quite a bit. Yeah, some of the guys are throwing the big ones in here, like AXTI. These guys, if these are the ones where like, dude, okay, if these things kind of reverse, first of all, 91 was upside resistance. 108 is the second tier of said resistance. These don't have to go now, but if you miss them and you see a small pullback, something like $55, and I know that sounds like a lot on AXTI, it's not. $55 pullback hold on AXTI. I would go a lot longer long. This is like a decent. It could pull back a little bit. I think I'm gonna assume this is similar with AAOI. Yeah, right in that 50-day support or resistance rather. This looks better than AXTI, but AXTI is a much bigger average range on these guys. But these are the optics trades. Jason, what does it say? How to find the time Nokia may hit something. The chat is so fast. I don't know. Nokia looks good just in general from a risk reward. AAOI looks constructive, but it's already made a move. I would be very cautious, especially things like these optics trades. Look at you're a double off the lows in very short order. Like in 1 week's time, AOI literally doubled. So to expect a little bit of consolidation on these names, I think I would welcome that. There are other names like GFS, like Global Foundries. This one has not actually recovered. Again, another 50% down. I think this can actually probably go down a little bit more, but is going to run into support very quickly, right around that 45 area. So I actually just opened this one today as a like new trade. I think I might have been a little early, and I might have a tight stop here, but on something like this, like if this does pull back into about 45, I pick it up again, and this starts to recover. Like a name like this, like dude, I'm thinking like this. You could see that's a massive win. That would just be a massive 70% on equity alone. So I would definitely watch these. I'm on the flow state right now. Fastly is in an active breakout. A lot of software names like this. Be cautious here. These look very constructive. As much as I really want to just continue to load up into something like this, or Akamai, which I think is like ready to run too. CPI and the NeoClouds still have to go. Like I've been saying for the last little bit, a lot of these look good. Pullbacks are somewhat juicy, but I think the reality is that we have to get through the entirety of earnings, which is basically this week. Fastly looks great. Any higher, we're gonna see mid 30s again. This had a trajectory from the 15s into 45, which I thought was a great risk reward. Still there. Akamai very much basing out here. I like this a lot too. I haven't listened to these calls, but I think everything's looking generally. I mean, dude, a lot of these names are looking pretty good, but as Nebius is 6% upside here in the afters. Looks like SMCI got a little bit better. Zukava.
ServiceNow, Salesforce, Adobe. Any interest in those three?
Yeah. So like, here's what I'm thinking. So ServiceNow is actually on a recovery now. So over, I think 110 was the big one. It's over 110. It was going to get to 120, 130. Basically got there. Another pullback on ServiceNow, I think, is also should be welcomed or expected to retest that 110. And so if ServiceNow now pulls back into that 110 and 110 holds, that's going to be like the most constructive setup. So I like ServiceNow long, as long as your time horizon is long enough on this. It's okay spot, but I think if you get this pullback and retest that 110, this is in a slow process of basing. This honestly, this looks like it's going to take 6+ months to get out of its own way. But look, it'll probably be worth it if your time horizon is there. CRM, same thing. These are the software names that are slightly high, having had pretty big bounces. Also, I would expect, what is this, off the lows? 35% off the lows. Expect a bit of a pullback and continued consolidation on something like this. Support on CRM is going to be at 180. But again, this setup is one where consolidation looks like it's beginning. And for the stock to actually break out of that consolidation, might be like another 6+ months, which I think you have time to DCA in names like this. Even an Intuit actually looks significantly better than all the rest. What's happening here? Oh, it's because they haven't reported yet. I'm all, wait. Intuit looks good into earnings.
What do you think about Intel?
I think it broke down earlier and is trying to reclaim. It's the same as AMD, so it's close but not quite. I'm really intrigued with Intel. I think this is one where you really want to do some fundamental like evaluation here on like how much pull forward there is. is it expensive or not? It's really trying to bounce a little bit. It's decidedly in a massive consolidation. A breakdown on Intel, I'll just put it to you this way. It already hit 70, or no, it already hit 80. That might be good enough because I was thinking it would be 75. Yeah, well, it hit 78. So I was thinking it would go back down to 75 last time we talked. It got to 70, 79 exactly, 79 exactly. I mean, that's close enough. And so I'm starting to see some buyers get like a little bit more interested. That is a process. So the best thing I can say here is that this is in fact not a V-shaped recovery on an AMD or an Intel after a failure to continue momentum. And this is what the process of bottoming looks like. Is it the bottom? Again, I would be guessing if I told you I thought it was the bottom. Is it a bottom? Yeah, it's a bottom. But and I think that's all you have to be prepared for, depending on your time horizon, is just, where can some bounces occur? It's here. But also just, I would be very patient on my Intel. There's something brewing. It's been sideways for a better part of 3 months, I think, at this point. Yeah, 106 days. It's been at $100. So look, it's a massive move. It's a massive move. Yes, it pulled down 40% or so. It does. You don't even know. Look at this. This is, what is this drawdown? This is a 45% drawdown from 142 to 79, right? But yet you zoom out, you look left a little bit. It's like you don't even see it. Yeah, it's like a nothing burger. So that's what I'm saying. Like, look, a lot of stocks are like this. They might be down 40, 50% on some names still. I think you really look at those in the grand scheme of things. If you have a good company, and that's the big caveat, if you actually have a good company here, it'll just be a blip on the radar. Like, you don't even notice it on this chart. It's wild to me how that happens. But yeah, it is what it is. Can it pull back? Absolutely. But right now this is more of a wait and see. I would rather, and we didn't do this when I mentioned it briefly, Broadcom was like, this has got earnings coming into the beginning of September, pulling back. Actually, nice little bounce on Broadcom. If this can get any higher, really, this is setting up for a bit of a squeeze. So a big move off 360s right into resistance at 430. Something like this, I'm actually scouting out right now as a potential trade. If this pulls back and does something like this ahead of earnings, this could be a $500 stock, which is like 25% higher than now. And I have support right around that $400 mark. So it's very interesting setups. This would be a pure momentum play. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it. And the setup technically is actually there. This one just happens to be a little bit more volatile of a name.
Iran.
Do we need the timer?
No, we just flow with it.
We flow with it. Iran looks, $30 was that support level. It held. She tabbed it. It's got to hold. I think it was 45 is next. So expect that. I'm actually short a miner right now, and I was thinking about closing it. I'm like, but I didn't close it. Maybe I should have.
Let me guess. Cypher?
No.
Hut 8?
No. Yeah.
Well, Hut 8?
Hut. Yeah. Hut.
Okay.
It's a big nasty short. Would be for a big nasty breakdown, but of all the miners, this is like my least favorite. I was like, what is this stock even doing up here, dude? This is like a penny stock,
dude. It's up a lot this year. It's up like 100%.
It's up massive, and not only is it up massive, it's like the least broken chart of all of them. And I'm like, but they don't have any money coming in for years, like decisively, and like I don't understand. Like the executives got paid to take over this company. They don't have any kind of incentive to make the stock price go up. That's not how they get paid moving forward. It's just literally stay in the company and you're going to get paid, or dilute and you're going to get paid because you can increase the market cap, not the share price. I'm like, oh, this is anyways, I'm on a rant. But yeah, the thing is, it didn't actually break below 83, which is what I needed for my short to work out, because my short was actually for that area in the 50s, which would be wild. But yeah, I think nibbled somewhere in here, actually held a short through earnings, which is a no-no. So I broke my rules. So if I lose money, I probably deserve to lose money. But that said, yeah, if this goes any higher, I will probably cover this as well, because it did not break down. But
What do you? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's just a lot of these like neo clouds, they can get a bounce. Like, because if CoreWeave does well and then Nebius does well as well, I think they're gonna pull the whole cohort higher, right? And this is the same caution that I had coming into this, is that, like, look, rising tide at this moment, some of these boats will sink, like, long term. Which one? We don't know. We're ways away from actually seeing which one will happen, like which ones are gonna either get bought out, or not last. Who knows? We're just too early in the cycle. To me, it's just far too early. All the noise about circular financing and this, that, and the other. Look, I think I'm sure that you guys are nonstop on the Jensen thing and the 500 billion, the financiers consortium, whatever he's doing. Quite frankly, it's somewhat normal in the space. We had I don't know, like each company has its own financing arm as it is. Like we used to sell gear, and I would use what we call DFS, or Dell Financial Services, to finance like somebody else's gear that they're purchasing that might even be a competitor of Dell, and like we would get loans from DFS so that people could buy the stuff. And I think it's just opening up a different allocation of money from a different group of investors, which takes it off of NVIDIA's books. Because for the few more recent deals, at least the newsworthy deals, like it's kind of looked like NVIDIA's been financing a lot of these deals using their finance arm, and that's not ideal. At least get it off their books so it's not on their risk. If we can say, hey, compute as a whole is now an asset class that, let's say, if you don't pay your bills, I can repossess and resell. I think that's fine. Even if this works out near term, I don't see a lot of issues. Can it be a big issue long term? Yeah, it for sure could be a big issue long term, but only if it's very clean. Like only if the depreciation of the gear that they're buying is faster than the amount of time that it takes them to realize some ROI. That it's in very simply, that's it. Like as long as they can get a benefit before the depreciation hits, they'll be okay. And that we just don't know yet.
What do you think about Netflix? Do you think it's bottomed? Because I feel like it's kind of bottomed.
I think it's real close, man. What did we have, like 50s or something, and we ended up hitting 65?
Yeah.
So going long Netflix is an investment. So, and here's the other thing. I had 57. Oh man, it was so close. 61.38 down to 57.63. I feel like this is close enough, but it's also right at that 75 level where it broke down before. So we'll see. If you get another dip on Netflix, I think you have to. Like, if you don't own it already, like, I can't say that. That's illegal to say on a show, but I will buy Netflix if I see it sub 60. And I will buy it, and I will not look at it. And I'll probably buy it for both my son and daughter and just put it away, because this is not, if you buy Netflix here, I just don't think that you can be buying it as a trade. I don't think it's a good trade. I think it's if you get an accumulation sub 60s, the value is the install base, simply stated, right? Like, no, I don't think they're going to be doing great as a company right now. No, I get they have a lot of issues, but it would be an investment in a company, as if like, yeah, I'm going to invest in this company at this point to be a owner, like not just trade. Does it make sense? Like a different mentality, because it would have to be a long run. Like, in the long run, they'll figure it out. I have no idea what it's going to be in the short term. I don't think it matters, but in the long run, they'll probably figure it out.
I would agree with that. A few more that I think are kind of interesting. Then we'll end off with crypto. Well, this one's also relatively interesting given the move it's made. T1 Energy, the solar stuff, and Phase. Are you looking at these as potential? Because these were big winners before Ken Griffin, messed up the AI trade. So I mean, this was at almost $14. Do you think this one could be?
I really need to lean on you guys for like the fundamental valuations. I think the pull forward is here. The pull forward could be some of the most aggressive pull forwards in this space because it's just so important. Like behind the meter energy, getting the grid, like getting the data centers powered up in general. This is step one, right? Forget about optics, forget about memory. The real bottleneck is this stuff, right? And to me, like energy is in fact everything. So because of that, and I think, more and more people start to really realize that, like, to me, this is almost an idea company, T1 Energy, but even GE Vernova, probably a lot of pull forward, all these turbine type companies, a lot of Caterpillar potentially pull forward, but also justifiably so, which is the weirdest part. So it's like, I need to know, I would need from your perspective, like at what point does this become cheap versus expensive? I don't know, because that's not my strength. My strength would say here, $5 is probably tradable support area. Generally speaking, it breached $5. Looks like it got to $3 and change more recently. That's crazy. Okay. But $5 is from this area, entire area over here. So if this whole area becomes support, like, and does this, then I'd see 680. I think the question is like, what exactly, what's the market cap here? What exactly are we going for from an upside perspective of T1 Energy? What is the opportunity? This is a $1.5 billion company. Yeah, you got to expect some wild swings on a company like this. 1.5 billion. That's rough. Yeah. You're going to be up and down 50% in a month, like on a regular basis.
By the way, Citadel just came out and they said, I mean, this is actually hilarious. Citadel Securities says just now, it's from Bloomberg, systematic buyers are getting ready to load up on stocks again after a massive unwind.
So then we're short, right?
Amazing.
We need to be
short.
I mean,
dude, when they said to go short, it worked. If they're saying to go long, maybe it's time to go long.
No, they're just trying to unload their bags, dude. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, but it'll still create a pump. They got to unload it somehow.
Yeah. It'll create a pump, and then it might create a bigger dump. I hate that. Right?
Dude, they stepped in. They scared everybody.
It depends on how, like, what's your reaction time? Because when they said it was a short, if you waited a week, it was actually a long, like a big long, right? So like, okay, cool. You get a pump for a week, and then they unload on you, and that's what I'm saying. I see the bounce. I see the bounces for sure right now. Let's A low. I don't know, but I'll just say, I don't know what they're in. I can see a lot of very juicy prices that are very enticing for a lot of people. And I think, like I started the show off with, this could be a really good market to be an active trader in. From an investing perspective, I think we'll have to see. It's interesting. And if you are investing, just make sure that you're actually investing and you have more money behind it to continue to invest. Because if it's not the bottom, look, you might get better prices later. Who is saying Oklo? Get out of here with that.
I think let's end.
Head. No. It's a very appropriate handle.
Let's end it off with crypto then. I mean, this is the one thing that really has done nothing all year.
Bitty.
Dude, does this thing give us 100K again? Forget this year, ever. Are we ever seeing 100,000 on Bitcoin again? The answer is probably yes, but it's an interesting question, right? Because that's how bad sentiment is.
It is how bad sentiment is. I think
I'm
the
not sure
last
why Circle was up today. It was I'm not sure why. The Clarity Act is getting pushed another month as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, of course. Dude,
Which I know you don't think. I know you don't think that affects Bitcoin. I don't think it affects Bitcoin either. But and every positive update has seen a little bit of a pump.
At this point, like, how could it affect Bitcoin? Like that thing's been pushed back more times than like Grand Theft Auto, dude. Like for real. Like, and it's probably gonna be a Grand Theft Auto, which I don't even know what Take-Two stock price looks like. And I'm really curious now. Yeah, I mean, dude. So like, all right, push back. Like when was GTA 6 or whatever announced? Like over here, like 6 years ago. I don't know. Yeah, I bet you Bitcoin tracks.
But isn't this the time to buy IBIT? Like when everyone hates it, isn't this the
IBIT.
moment to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So I would say we are, no matter how you slice it, thinking about it this way. If you think the bear case lows of what, 40K, right? I believe that's the bear case low, is going to happen. And the bull case is well over 120K. From that perspective and a long enough time horizon, you're technically closer to the low than you are the high. From that perspective alone, go ahead, right? Have at it. Just, again, be ready to buy it if it gets lower. Over 69, it's over 65. Like we're toying with that level right now. If this breaks this prevailing down uptrend right here, we're sitting on this green line. This is the current uptrend. I'm not a big trend line guy, but that is where we are, in fact. And it's also aligned with the 20-day, the 50-day, and the 200-week simple moving average. I don't think you have to be in a rush, but from here, if you see big, massive 10% plus days on Bitcoin, I think you buy in the deepest depths of despairs slowly from here for the next 12 months. Quite frankly, I think I don't think that you're going to get a big pop. I think this is going to be a multi-year probably consolidation that is fraught with a lot of highs and lows in between. And that would be, in fact, normal. Like, so this is a base, like this is after, big crypto winter. What is this? This is January into March 2022. It's a 40% ripper and then a huge dump. And then from 2022, summer of 2022 through winter of 2024, a year and a half of just crazy chop. Yeah, it bottomed in November of 2022, but you weren't like really breaking out until a full year later, October of 2023. It didn't really start to break out. So my point is that we could have something happen that's closer to this in the future, and maybe we have a few dumps. And so what I'm saying is, like, maybe we're like here, or maybe we're like here, and you have a pop and then a drop and a pop and drop, and in this 12-month span from, that's basically 12 months from June of 2022 to March of 2023. There's a lot of crazy price action that really went nowhere and ended up being the bigger accumulation phase. So whether or not you're trying to snipe like this low or this low, as long as you don't think that quantum is in fact going to completely take out crypto, which, is possible, then I think you're better off nibbling slowly over the next 12 to 24 months than not.
What about, okay, so if that's, are we about to go to ETH? Or no, Corey?
No, I was just looking at Corey, just checking in.
Corey, by the way, guys, real quick before you say ETH, CoreWeave said on the call, I'm looking at some of the updates, they signed a lease on NVIDIA's A100 chips 9 years after that chip has come out. The A100 came out in 2020. We signed an A100 contract that extends into 2029 at an attractive price. The fact that an A100 has another 3 years of, that's crazy, right?
No. That's the entire argument that Jensen and the consortium of privateers, whatever, BlackRock, what are we calling this? The private equity. The what?
Big banks, private credit guys.
They're not banks. Big distinction. If it was JP Morgan doing this, whole nother deal. That could be systematic issues, right? We're not talking about the banks. We're talking about private equity.
Well, Goldman is a bank, though. Yeah, I know it's not like JP Morgan and Bank of America, but
yeah. So, but they're not using like grandma's retirement funds as collateral. Is basically my thing, right?
To some extent, they are. Larry Fink explicitly said we're going to be using, but yeah, it's not literally YOLOing people's retirement.
Yeah, because that would be ocean moment, right? And I think it's healthy that the market didn't explode. But the reason CoreWeave would say something like that is because who's going to be taking these loans out? CoreWeave, right. Nebius, the neo clouds are the ones that are going to be utilizing these loan platforms, right? And so they have to prove that, yeah, in fact, compute is an asset that I can actually resell years and years later, because the whole argument is the depreciation cycle. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it was that like technology or gear servers had a 10-year life cycle at most, refresh cycle. And personal, like retail tech had like what, a refresh cycle every 2 years is what we were looking at. And so the whole argument is that is no longer the case, and it's resaleable as an asset class 10 years later, and it still has value. So the depreciation piece not being there makes it a financeable asset, which is giving them that's their whole argument. So yeah, they have to, because the CoreWeave is the one that's going to be taking out the loans.
Okay, ETH, you think it just follows Bitcoin?
ETH is just like higher beta Bitcoin. It is following Bitcoin. It has followed Bitcoin. Yeah, I like ETH here. I would just be a little bit cautious on why you like it. I would say just from a technical perspective, it's fine, right? It's in the same spot as Bitcoin. It can come down. This can be 1200. I think it was almost 1200 anyways, or 15. So you're very, I think 1250 or something like that was the actual lows that I have marked out. It's on track for that. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum, just to be crystal clear, are on track to hit these lows, the deeper lows. But are you going to actually like sell now and be able to like jump in at the exact right time? Nobody really does that. Doesn't work that way. It's extremely difficult. I don't even try to do that. So like slowly dollar cost averaging while you're close to the lows, as long as you believe in the technology and the asset itself gaining value, I think is important. At the end of the day, crypto is supply and demand in its rawest form. So just know it's got a lot of hype. It's very technical. It follows technical analysis to a T. Technicals are saying not yet, just wait. But you are closer to the bottom than the top. That's what I can say. If you're gonna try and pull in Clarity Act or layer 2 stable coins and things like that, and the like ERC-20s being a solution for unbanked asset trading, I don't know but that's not really how Ethereum works. It wouldn't necessarily benefit Ethereum, the underlying itself. In order for Ethereum to go up, staking has to go up, and that is what it is. That is literally it. So you'll see it by wallets and how many assets are in said wallets.
Okay, last few Rivian. I know you like this one.
I tuned in this morning for a second. I gotta say, just so the chat knows, Amit may own a car. It's possible. I don't even know, but he doesn't drive, guys. He doesn't drive. So I don't.
That's because my Tesla drives me, so I don't need to
No,
drive.
because he lives in the middle of New York City. Amazing apartment, by the way. We've now shared a bed, just so the chat knows. So it's out there. But
We have indeed shared a bed officially.
I took a nap. He let me nap on the bed. He even changed the sheets for me. I swear they were really nice. Big upgrade. I actually appreciated that. But I live in San Jose, California, and I love me a Rivi. And yeah, you guys aren't driving out in New York City basically at all because the traffic is insane. I like this. I think you're right. It's a car company, but you know, this is a long-term play. It's many, many years out. The timeline here, R2 is coming out now. They have R3 that's launching probably like second half of next year, calendar year. Between now and then, I think if you like Rivian as a whole, this is the moment to actually start allocating a little bit, because as R2 ramps, it's not about the launch of R2, it's about the ramp of R2. If R2 ramps and subsequently gets them to an R3 launch, I think that's, from a car perspective, very, very interesting. That gives them their survival mode that they needed. Once they're past survival mode, it's into this licensing play of as technology. The real call option, if you will, on Rivian is not about the cars at all. The real play on Rivian is about their service called Autonomy Plus, and the fact that they actually do plan on licensing this out to other vehicles at some point. If even ICE cars, like combustible engine cars, have technology to accommodate Autonomy Plus, Rivian's the company that will be first in line to actually license that out to other cars. So no, FSD is not going to be the only game in town. It is right now. That's true, but technology is moving fast. And so when you think about it from that perspective, the timeline is many, many years. And I think this is a spot where it's worth the shot. And that's the shot, right? It's about, can they survive long enough to get to R3? Does R2 make them a sustainable company? And with that, do they actually launch into licensing out Autonomy Plus, which they will, in reality, they'll have about 50% of the benefit, because what they did with Volkswagen was they created a separate company, a whole separate entity that's like half owned by Rivian, half owned by Volkswagen, to license Autonomy Plus services out to other companies. So that's really the play.
Okay, folks. I think that is.
Yeah, someone said Snowflake.
By the way, for everyone asking AAOI real quick, Jason, you could do it again, but he talked about it earlier. It's run a ton so far.
Oh, we just made over 50% on AAOI, picking up like sub 90, and it went to 150. So we like it. Expect it to pull back. I think here, I'll give it to him. This would be basic pullback around just over 100. So call it 110s, near to that 20-day simple, around 111, and these prior support areas over here. Don't be too specific on names like AAOI or AXTI. These whipsaw like crazy, so you gotta give it some room to breathe, and don't try to be overly precise on these names. But it's already run a bit. I would let that breathe.
Snowflake.
Oh yeah, so a lot of software names look good. Snowflake had a big breakout, so it's already broken out. I don't know what this wick is. 290 retest. Does Chris still own Snow, or did he buy Snowflake?
That was like 2022.
Yeah.
So I don't think he owns it anymore.
No. He doesn't like it.
ServiceNow is like his big SaaS thing.
Well, okay. So over 290, this holds a pullback on support. Stay long. It's a hold. Support is 290. you got to get through earnings. It has not reported earnings yet. It reports on September 2nd. Right now, you're looking at the fake pump ahead of earnings. That's what you're looking at. So assume that some profit taking comes in. This looks good. Trajectory is to 400. Just going to put it out there. But a pullback to 290 is in the cards.
Any thoughts on the cybersecurity names that have just been
Dude,
going
yeah.
crazy?
Cybersecurity is like, security is, I think, an overlooked part of the market right now in terms of how important security is becoming with AI. I think they go hand in hand. I think this is networking and security. So networking and security go hand in hand as well. If you didn't know, networking and security super cycle with this build out. I think this, this is insane, right? Whatever we're seeing from this perspective, I think is huge. Again, why I think that we have a good call on. I have like, I don't know, Fastly, Akamai looking very good. It is a security super cycle. There's no question about it. If I just went to Cisco, look at this. Like, all right. So this is a big okay. Don't do this to me. Cisco is going to report tomorrow. We watch Cisco. This is going to seal the deals. This is both networking and security kind of rolled up into one. We looked at Arista. They actually delivered this quarter. It's looking better, right? So this Arista, look at this. I mean, dude, here's a weekly on Arista now. Now you look at it and you're like, uh-oh, something's happening, right? But you can't be so short-sighted where like this is a big kind of move happening on Arista. Like 133, another big old consolidation. These things can take a lot of time to play out to 215. This is 270s plus potentially. Yeah, 270. Another 30% between now and next quarter.
Oh, they have earnings tomorrow, right? Cisco?
Arista? No, Cisco. Arista already reported.
Yeah, Cisco and Coherent tomorrow.
Yeah, but look at this weekly on Arista. It's like clean above. This is a long-term breakout in motion. This is what we would call an active breakout, right? So this is your break, pullback, hold, retest, hold, and now you're getting that continuation. But yeah, Cisco does.
Would you buy Palo Alto into strength, or would you let it chill out a bit?
I would get,
because like the narrative is so good, right? But it's also freaking run at this point.
You have to take it as a momentum trade, right? Like into strength, I think is fine for right now, but then three months at a time, I could do it into strength. So knowing that, hey, look, they just reported in June. They still have their next report September 1st to go. They just broke out one more time over these things. If it can pull back and hold that, this is 370. Sorry, that's what we have in store. That 370 pullback takes us to just over 400. And then you have to start thinking like when you buy these here now, 320 billion, 312 billion. I don't know. I need you to tell me how expensive or cheap this is. It cannot be cheap.
It's expensive. They are not growing to justify this stock price. But every freaking CEO is saying we're afraid of getting hacked, and so that's why.
It's true, right? But I think this becomes that kind of nuanced area where like it's got to be a momentum trade because they can pull back 50% and still be decent valuation, right? And be a buy, right? So like it's true, but it's all momentum right now. I think Cloudflare is probably, look at this, over 300 now, all-time high. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this
Dude,
Cloudflare.
actually,
Get
the
out of here.
CDN shit is working.
I'm saying, look, does this chart remind you of something, guys? This is a weekly chart. What does this chart look like, Amit? I mean, aside from a thing of beauty, very expensive, no doubt, very expensive. This is got 400 on it. Oh my, but yeah, this is your second favorite. This is your Robinhood / Palantir multi-year / Snowflake multi-year / gold cup and handle type breakout since this is a 5-year consolidation.
It did top in 21. You're right.
Yeah.
It topped around the same time Hood, actually.
Yeah. It's the same thing, right? So yeah, they're very bullish charts. It's all momentum from here. Doesn't mean it have to stop. And they're extremely expensive. A lot of these are very good companies in addition to all of that, which makes it a very unique market. It's hard, right? Because you might be like, oh, I'm chasing this, but yet you listen to what's going on. You look at what's, oh my God.
See, but see, these like they don't have the growth to justify. But like if Palantir's chart looks like that, it's like, okay, well, they're growing 90%. CrowdStrike's still what's 25%? Like it's not. But if they guide like, hey, we are seeing so much demand because enterprises.
Dude, look at this nonsense,
secure.
right? I mean,
yeah, cybersecurity was the play this year in SaaS.
Yeah, it is time, right? There's
I
different
wouldn't
layers
chase it here though, dude.
here.
I can't chase them here. No way. It's tough to chase them here.
Selectively, right? Selectively, and you have to really like feel good about what you're doing and know you have to have some kind of level of confidence and have plan. Like I think a plan will give you the confidence, but like just FOMOing into momentum with no plan, yeah, that's scary, right? And I get it, but that's the difference between like a rookie trader and someone who's been doing it for a while. It's like we don't do anything without a plan.
All right, folks, that is it for Technical Tuesday. However,
Oh,
if you want a little bit more of Jason, I heard he was on a podcast recently. And I heard he came to New York City to do that podcast. So there it is, the Basis Points
What's this?
episode with Mr. Jason.
oh man, I love it. Did you just drop that?
We
Look
just
at these
dropped it.
stickers. Oh, this guy.
Wait, he hooked up our laptops now with the stickers. So there you go.
Nice.
Officially paper gain. At 2
I
minutes,
love it.
at 2 minutes, I told Jason to like put his laptop down so people could see his face. I said I would edit it out. I didn't edit it out, but regardless, people could.
Did you edit out the word vomit or no? Do we keep that?
That at 33 minutes, no, it was actually kind of funny. I was like,
It's like the math. I didn't even realize I didn't even realize what number I said, guys.
he basically was like, "What's 5 + 5?" And Steve looked at him like, "You're the TA guy." it was so, and then Jason was like, "Wait, no, I can't think straight." Like it was hilarious.
Anyways,
But yeah, that episode's out. I think for anyone who's ever wanted to get a philosophical understanding of what it means to be someone who cares about technical analysis. Obviously, you guys hear Jason every Tuesday talk about it, but this is an episode where he kind of talks about his story and also his philosophy on investing and trading together. So,
yeah, it's a little bit of origin story, a little bit, I believe. It's been a while now. So many things have happened since the episode, dude. I gotta tell you, life-changing moments.
you had a kid.
I had a freaking kid, man. Which was
thankfully
not
you were able to do the episode before you had the kid. Otherwise, I don't know when you would have been able to do it.
I mean, the kid was not supposed to. It's still the kid is not supposed to be here yet. Yet she's here. I'm supposed to have like another. I mean, I told you, dude. I told you I had a feeling, and I told everyone,
did.
"No, you'll be fine." I'm like, no, I really have this really weird feeling. I can't believe I made it. Also, true. So I almost missed her twice because I went home to check on mom for just a minute. Dude, I don't know if anybody has multiple kids, but they say the second one comes faster. Yes, she was early, but from like water breaking to delivery, oh my goodness, so fast. I thought I had like many hours. At least I left. I was gone for like maybe 1 hour. The doctor's like, "Yeah, you're fine." I get a call. "It's happening now. Get your ass over here." I'm like, "Oh, I barely made it, man." It was tight, but new member has been christened to the Girl Dad Club. New inductee, appreciate it.
Do you
Definitely.
want to do you want to have a third kid, or you think 2 is where you're gonna stop?
Bro. Having kids is so easy.
I mean,
that's all I can say. It's like it's very easy.
but
Yeah,
did you ever plan to have more than 2, or no?
I say that lightly. It was easy for me because I didn't have to do much. But so props to Mama, who's really putting in all the work. I mean, cooking the kid. I don't know that I would want to go through another pregnancy. Having the child is probably the easiest part for any of the guys out there. But like, while she's cooking, you see how much weight I've gained. I'm like, now we go through the breastfeeding thing. Yeah, Quan,
Yeah.
says the dad, like admittedly. So, yeah.
Well, we are all very happy for you, and super cool, man. It's super
Yeah.
cool. It's a new
No,
stage of life.
I'm happy to be able to share it with you guys. So very cool. Maybe one day we'll actually bring her onto the show. Like
There's Jason's Twitter, basis
Free
points
ticket.
there. Yeah, if you want more of Jason's stuff, links in his description. Also, all in the basis point stuff is Jason's links, so you can check it out there. And we will see you guys next
Nice.
Tuesday.